vacations. We need blue strips for all the time we spend waiting. We gon' kill for what we owe, Joe, we not playing. Mr. President, I think it's time we get paid. I watch all of my people die. Why your people try to act like we commit crime? Get killed on TV, got our kids scared to go outside. It's time you pick a side. Before we turn this bitch up, Mr. President better fall in line. Yeah, we don't need loans, we need what we owe. We need police to stop killing sisters inside their home. And when it happened and we burn this bitch down, they need to stop telling us we was wrong. Ay, and we need unity. We need the government to stop bringing drugs in our community. They better stop playing, we not the ones. You got guns and we got guns. Who kill us and play with our funds. Yeah, how we supposed to restore when they won't give us more? When they got knees on our necks when we walk out the store. How we heal when they go to the park, kill a 12-year-old boy. For killing, we ready for war. Yeah, and we need reparations, we need vacations, we need blue strips for all the time we spend waiting. We gon' kill for what we owe, Joe, we not playing. Mr. President, I think it's time we get paid.
Peace, peace, greetings to you all. It's your brother Naheem, BKA Lord Abba, AKA Mr. Just the Facts. Mr. Just the Facts. Family, you already know what time it is, man. Help the channel out. Click like on the video. Share the video out. Let people know that we're having a discussion. This won't be the usual full dissection that BTP gives, but we're gonna try our best, trying to go through an hour's worth of information, and you want to touch on absolutely everything is kind of tough, right? And it's kind of tough. And today was my first day watching the video, and I had to watch it back twice so I could get greater understanding, clarity, take notes, etc., etc. If you're watching from Twitter, and we know that our Twitter numbers go up into the hundreds, come on over to the YouTube channel, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell icon next to the subscribe button so you will be informed every time Be the Power goes live and drops its dynamic content, man. Shout out to let me give some shout outs to the family. Reps is in the building. I'm gonna read your comment in 1 second. BTP Riri, what's going on, man? Brother Gerard, what's good? Detroit Freeman is on deck. Sister Shanna, BTP Shanna. The Bay Area Freeman is in the building. They are in the building. And we had to do this today. We had to have this discussion. And because I think that it's important, because people do not see what's going on with the Democratic Party. And when I say people, I don't mean the people in this network, because we can clearly see what's going on. I'm talking about the rest of our people who continue to be duped. And now it seems like forget letting the politicians dupe us. This time we'll dupe ourselves. Just give us the information and we'll program it into our brain. So Reps said, why is it always the children of the quote unquote civil rights activists of the 60s are now present-day black faces in high places that sell out for butter biscuits and keep up the status quo of the Democrats? It reminds me of the scene and I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker, where the brother, that was always a great actor to me too. Keenan Ivory Wayans' character goes to see him. And he's, I know I could get some firepower from this brother over here, some manpower. And the guy start talking all this revolutionary stuff because he get caught up in the moment. And then his white wife come out the room with their white son, and the white son is reading like some revolutionary rhetoric off of some type of pamphlet or book. And Keenan Ivory Wayans' character asks, he asked the brother, like, what happened? What happened to everybody? That dude was like, they all got government jobs. So that's the best way that I can answer your question. They got government jobs. And in this case, it's like the government job is grifting. We're going to pay you to make sure peace was going on. We're going to pay you to make sure that we maintain the status quo, like you ask in your answer. Let me see. I'm gonna get to this too. One thing that infuriated me, this is Brother Gerard. One thing that infuriated me was how the Black Girl Tragic was trying to check Professor Ware over how he said Kamala's name, but wasn't upset about the genocide she is participating in. Absolute facts. Absolute facts. Iron Physique, what's going on, man? The Los Angeles Freedman is in the building. Freedman family checking in from all over the country. So yes, I'm going to get into that. I'm George Fontenot. What's going on, fam? I'm going to get into that. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to start with that. I think I'll start the stream with that because I want to give my 2 cents on that because I was speaking with a family member recently. It's a couple weeks ago, and I was saying, the way I pronounce it is Kamala. It's just the way I've heard it pronounced before because I refused to. You know what? I'll get into that. I'll get into that in a few minutes. Let's look at that part of it.
Evaluating, got called onto the ticket 3 weeks ago. Okay. And I had done an Instagram live with Dr. Jill Stein, and I asked her a couple of questions. I had just posted a reel where Kamala Harris had been asked about reparations.
Kamala Harris.
Okay, Kamala Harris had posted a reel about reparations. I posted a reel where she was talking about it, and she was asked, and she sort of went around for about 90 seconds, and then she ended by saying, "I will never do anything that only helps Black people." In other words, it was a rising tide. Abuse that amounts to rape and so forth. So this man is a domestic terrorist and a criminal. Okay, she can look to Kamala Harris. And sorry.
Come on,
my brother.
Hold on. No, it's honest to God, no disrespect. To be perfectly honest, it's just the way that I had gotten used to pronouncing the name because it resembles a name that is used in West Africa.
But you understand the point of getting it right, though. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you have to.
Absolutely.
As the brother on the team with the other, you gotta.
Absolutely. I will not make that mistake again. I'm begging.
I love seeing Black men get jumped by Black women.
No, hold on.
It's not me.
Listen.
Baby, my edges just go up. It's just triggering. Yeah. It's triggering.
Listen.
So now, all of a sudden, and that was the brother's response. Was weak. I've known about brother Professor Bilal Ware, Rudolph Bilal Ware, for some years now, and I have his book called The Walking Quran. I was trying to interview him on Moorish Science TV, which is the channel that is now Freedman University, which was the old Be the Power channel some years ago, but it just never transpired. That's right, Gerard, triggering. It's just triggering. So the reason why I started saying Kamala, not Kamala, Kamala, was because in 2020, and I may bring up one of them videos, I don't know. I noticed that people, quote unquote, Black people were saying Kamala. And time permitting, I want to go back and I want to take clips of every time we could hear people, especially Black people in the media, saying Kamala. And I refused to say it that way because I know that it was people trying to hoodify or ghettoify her name. We know that that's not the way that her mother pronounced that name, or people from India pronounced that name. This is speaking her name in a hood dialect. If we were to name one of our daughters with the same spelling, that is the way that we would more than likely pronounce it. Kamala, right? It's like, yo, shorty Kamala over there, man. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in the hood, so and I was born a 5%er, where the art of these names pretty much originate. Where the art of these names pretty much originate. So fast forward to now, right? I'm talking to a family member, and the family member is like, why you keep mispronouncing her name? I said, wait a minute. I said, I've been saying Kamala's name this way for years. And other people have been saying Kamala for years. They've been saying, Kamala for years. Nobody had a problem. Nobody tried to correct anybody from saying her name what they felt was wrong. Nobody, not one person. So, this idea that you're going to check people because we seen it with Michael Eric Dyson on CNN. See, that's not gonna happen with me. I'm gonna say whatever because nobody corrected it when every black person was saying Kamala over the years. So you're not gonna correct me now, like I was saying, and that's how that's gonna go. You could get triggered, your edges could curl up, they could burn up on the side of your head, they could solidify into little devil's horns. I wouldn't give a goddamn. You ain't checking me on nothing, point blank, period, because you know that I'm not being malicious with it. We are quote unquote black people in America, and we say things slightly different. Everybody wants to have their names corrected. I never heard one of these people go on Fox News and say, stop saying it's not Farrakhan, it's Farrakhan. They never said that, right? They never once said that. It's not that, and that's how they pronounce it on the right, Farrakhan. They don't care about that stuff. They don't care about that stuff at all. So I'm trying to wait as well, but I'm okay. Let me let this ad go by because I want to pull the actual video up. I have some timestamps, so y'all bear with me a little bit. This is going to be, not the usual breakdowns that I like to give, because I like to be very, very thorough with my breakdowns. And, this one was a kind of a rush job because today was my first day seeing the actual video and I had to watch it twice on top of doing all of my usual running around. So let me see. I think I want to start the good point. Good point. What's going on, brother Black Seed? Dr. G, what's good? Cash 504, Isaac G out of Cleveland. Brother Ian, what's going on, man? What's going on, brother Ian? I seen somebody else said, Britt, this is my first time here. Been listening to folks talk about this interview all day. Glad to be here. New sub, honors. Somebody named Jay Haru says this is ridiculous. I'm not sure if Jay Haru is speaking about anything I'm saying or if Jay Haru was speaking to the clip. But, critiques and alternative views are welcome here. Debates too. We drop links and all of that stuff as well. So I want to let me see. Well, she did say at one time, Gerard, she did say that she was black one time that I've heard. And I believe it was during that first Breakfast Club interview. What's going on, Sister Kelly Pryor? Nevada Friedman is on deck. Yo, the Friedman family is up in here. I know we got the bulk of the people watching on Twitter. We got almost 100 people watching. Y'all people on Twitter, come on over to the YouTube channel. Hit like, subscribe. Come help us build this channel up. We need to get our message out. Okay, Jay Haru said he was speaking to the clip. No doubt, because it is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Kelly Pryor says, I call her Lotus Flower because that's what her Brahmin name means. Sup, Friedman fan. That's right. Like, we don't do none of that sucker stuff over here. So I don't know if I would ever be invited on the Breakfast Club because you ain't going to correct me. You ain't going to bring on all of these different people, with this hyena rah-rah style of ambush questioning, et cetera, because I'm going to give it back, point blank, period. And I'm going to focus my attention towards dudes like Charlamagne. Yo, Charlamagne, why you bring these women on the show to try to attack me? We seen that with Roland Martin when he brought Ice Cube on, and then right in the middle of that discussion, I believe it was Patrice Cullors from Black Lives Matter, he brings her in and she just starts ambushing Ice Cube. We seen that with Roland Martin when he brought on Pastor Darrell Scott, and they were supposed to be speaking about Charlie Kirk's racism. These black Democrats, Roland Martin and his crew, the little light-skinned girl and Greg Carr, these weak males, they started attacking Pastor Scott over Trump. The brother is like, I'm not here to talk about Trump. We have those debates all the time. I'm here to talk about Charlie Kirk. But you remember when you said about Trump? I'm like, man, so this is what to expect from Democratic media. That's right, Jay Haru. Roland Martin did that with Umar Johnson. He ambushed the brother, what was supposed to be a one-on-one discussion. He brought all of these different people. And I know that tactic from being on Sonetta TV in the House of Consciousness. Back in the days, I would come on, and the next thing you know, I'd have 6, 7 people attacking me. Then we would take it to Blog Talk Radio. I have 7 different people asking me 7 different questions. You never answered my question. I never got a chance to answer your question because I'm trying to answer the next 6 questions y'all keep trying to bombard me with in an attempt to make me look foolish. But I would always answer their questions every single time. So let's get into this, man. I want to play this again, fam. This is not a good breakdown insofar as how I took my notes and things of that nature. So I'm gonna just start with the interview and see
it's futile and think that you don't own your vote. I mean, who owns?
Get to some good parts. Let's start here.
People, planet, and peace.
Who is the Green Party?
People carrying student debt, and a climate crisis. Yet we're spending half of our congressional dollars on the endless war machine, bringing us the likes of the genocide in Gaza and beyond. We got 3, nuclear wars in the making right now. This is where our dollars are going. It's half of our congressional budget. It's $12,000 on average per household in America to keep this endless war machine going right now. Yet we have such urgent and dire needs, especially among communities of color and African Americans. We've got really critical needs that we need to be meeting. And that's what the Green Party is about, actually fighting for people, planet, and peace over profit.
What would you say to people that feel like the Green Party is really taking votes away from Democrats and it's a disruptor? A lot of people, especially a lot of older people, when you talk about other parties outside of Republican and Democrats, they say, all they're doing is being disrupting. They're just taking the votes away from other parties. What are your thoughts on that?
So that's kind of the propaganda of the power machine that wants you to stay in your place, basically, and to think that resistance is futile and think that you don't own your vote. I mean, who owns your vote? Politicians have to earn your vote. They don't own it. And that's the question. Are they earning your vote? When you actually look at our condition, people are facing a crisis really in every dimension of our lives, and it's not getting better, yet our resources are being squandered. 68% of Americans want an immediate ceasefire and an end to the genocide. 68%. Yet you can hardly get a single vote on that behalf in Congress, and you're getting a standing ovation per minute for that war criminal Netanyahu.
So I want to stop it here because Jill Stein raises some very, very important points. Shout out to Brother Devon from Brooklyn, and shout out to everybody else that has joined us that I cannot see from Twitter, obviously, and those who are listening in from the background. Envy asks a question, and the question that Envy asks is the precursor to how Charlemagne, and who has Angela Rye and some other woman I've never even heard of or even seen before. Never even seen this woman before. They're the precursor to attack them as third-party candidates. And this is important because those of you who are in the reparationist network, our nationwide network, and Jill Stein speaks to bringing the issue of reparations up in 2012, but it's this nationwide network across the country that is the reason why we had a groundswell from 2019 going into the election of 2020. That we're the reason for that. I'm not taking any credit from the Green Party, not Jill Stein per se, but the Green Party in general, because they are a party that claims to stand on reparations. They've been consistent in that stance. But one of the things that we've seen is that the reparationists in this nationwide network have been solely attacked by the Democrats. I've had great conversations and great debates with Republicans. And I'm not talking about the racist white ones, because I like shutting them down. They're easy work. right? They are absolutely easy, right? I love going in those spaces with them so-called white supremacists, and they talk about reparations, and I'll just be eating them up, man, because they can't mess with us. Because, you know, we've absorbed this information over a number of years and we've refined it, right? We've shaken off all of the naughty, useless, and ungainly parts and kept those things which were more pertinent to the fight of this fight for reparative justice moving forward. But it's the Black Democrats who have attacked us. Whereas Black Republicans that I've built with, or Black conservatives, we've always had good discussions about reparations. The issues that we propose are multifaceted, and they all are inclusive inside what would be called a package of reparations, right? And there's a series of things. We lay 12 points out, our agenda points on our website, usadof.org. You can see that scrolling across our banner marquee at the bottom, usadof.org. Go to our website, check out our 12-point program, check out our website in general. It is unique, as this freedman term has been resurrected, and we are shaking things up with our political advocacy. What's going on? Sister Nikki Johnson, Brother Dre was good. Our brother BTP Ali is in the audience listening in right now. So let me stress this point, is that the attacks that we've received have come largely from the Democrats. I mean, we've been cursed out. We've been called all types of names by real sissified people that would never say this stuff to us in person. The women that they have, people like Luke, who is of immigrant stock. He's not an American freedman. He is not of freedman stock. He's of immigrant stock. And we know that a lot of them have brought the debauchery, we have to be honest, into our communities. And he's one of them with the music that he brought, right? He brought that debaucherous music into what was conscious hip hop at the time, and it helps lead a domino effect into a whole bunch of other genres of rap, taking it from its original intended purpose, which was just partying and having fun and crafting a message out of it, an uplifting message, to Shake What Your Mama Gave You and Doodoo Brown and all of the garbage that Luke has produced over the years. But when you go into their Twitter spaces, the first thing you do is get attacked by these people, these Black Democrats. I don't necessarily need to name these nondescript people that be in those spaces on this platform, but I'll name Luke because he's a prominent figure based on the fact that he used to be it's hard to call him a rapper because, I mean, he ain't have no bars. He just made like jingle rap. You know how you have a commercial that's a jingle? He made jingle rap. So let's get a little bit more into this. I'm trying to find some other entry points where to start from, but let's start here. And I'm gonna try my best to get through it. So y'all bear with me. I've taken some notes, and some of my notes are all over the place. So pardon me. So let's get into it.
Been rolling out slow motion genocides all over the world for quite some time. And, this is catching up to us. We are no longer the dominant power around the world. Power is shifting. We need to shift with it. We can no longer be giving marching orders to the rest of the world. We need to stand up like an adult and be part of a global community and a shared power structure.
And if you can just tag me in right here, Jill, I'll go back to the first question, right? How is it different? So when I was evaluating, got called onto the ticket 3 weeks ago, okay? And I had done an Instagram live with Dr. Jill Stein, and I asked her a couple of questions. I had just posted a reel where Kamala Harris had been asked about reparations.
Kamala Harris.
Okay, Kamala Harris had posted a reel about reparations. I posted a reel where she was talking about it, and she was asked, and she sort of went around for about 90 seconds, and then she ended by saying, "I will never do anything that only helps Black people." In other words, it was a rising tide lift all boats. We're gonna have social policies and stuff that helps Black folks by default. So I asked Dr. Jill in the interview, "What's your position on reparations?" And she said, "They behave as though it's incalculable, but it has been calculated by specialists many times. It's between 10 and $13 trillion US, and I'm in favor of cash payments to the descendants of the enslaved." So this had my attention with that, right? The second point is I said, well, we know that you have been at the forefront of the struggle for Palestinian liberation, and as an anti-Zionist Jewish white woman, that is a powerful.
Right, I want to stop there on the reparations part, because I think that is important, right? And we who fight for reparative justice, we understand what that looks like. You know, when they say it cannot be calculated. This isn't what the Democratic Party is standing on. The Democratic Party has long abandoned the reparations fight. I've shown that on this platform numerous times. The articles from the Hill, one in 2019, one in 21, Democratic leadership wishes the issue of reparations go away. See, they kind of messed up by having this brother, whom is so crazy, man. Like, I have this brother's book on Islam in West Africa, debunking the myth that slavery was somehow coterminous with Islam, and that Islam went into Africa with a sword and forcibly converted its inhabitants. That is the furthest thing from the truth. And I've spent the past 15 years with the exception of the last 4 years, because we've been in this political space, but in that scholastic realm, defeating that argument right on that channel I mentioned earlier, the House of Consciousness. Shout out to my brother Sanetta, that's my brother. But you know, they're anti-Islam over there, and I always got to go over there every so often and beat them up on the topic, all of them. So when this brother came out, I seen an interview that he had at the Schomburg, and you know, he was being interviewed by, I believe, a curator of the Schomburg. I believe that was the Schomburg. Very deep, and that interview is still up on the channel. The channel used to be called Moorish Science TV. Now that changed to the Be the Power channel that you all are familiar with. We're on the new Be the Power channel, but that channel right now is called Friedman University. So if you're interested in that topic, maybe you thought that Islam was spread by the sword and people were forcibly converted to the religion, go watch his interview on it. He destroys that argument, even though we've been destroying it for years. The context that he adds to it, being a scholar that went and studied among the Muslims in West Africa for, I think, 6 years, and writing the book, The Walking Quran. You know, this is what's needed. And I used to say that when I would be on my platform or on Sanetta's channel, that once we take the scholastic methodology and we start applying it into something that's relevant, which is politics. I've been saying that for the past 15 years. I said, we're going to be dangerous. Think about what Malcolm said. Malcolm said, once the gangster wakes up and he gets into politics, then this government is going to tremble. Of course, I paraphrase. So now all of these different elements is coming together. And I, will style myself as a little bit of both. You know, I've never been no super thug or no super gangster, but I come from the hood, and I'm very well respected where I come from. So I wanted to add that, because it's good to see this brother. When the announcement first went up, I believe it was on his IG page, I commented, I said something to the effect like, wow, I thought I wouldn't have never seen this coming. And he replied and said, me either, right? So, they say man plans and the law plans, and the law is the best of planners. That's if you're into, Islam, right? But I believe that it's relevant. You could just replace the word God with the law if you're Christian or whatever theology or religion you're into, So, Ibrahim, did you want to add anything before we moved forward?
I don't know what you all covered, but yeah, that's a good way to put it. People make plans, but God is the best of planners. I've even heard people outside of the Islamic community use that maybe, they fell on some hardship, or they had a path and they found a better path, or they trailblazed to, and they still got where they was going to get. But what all have you covered so far? I'm not sure.
Well, I just covered the name, the opening statement about who the Green Party is. Envy asking the question about votes being taken away from, or just, I don't think he said the Democratic Party. I just forgot that fast, but votes being taken away. And what I said was that question is the precursor of how they're going to attack this brother and Jill Stein. That's pretty much all I've got covered so far.
So the whole panel is supporters of the Democratic Party, and that's okay. Most panels or most syndicated radio shows don't have a diverse panel when it comes to which party they support. Most is either left-leaning or right-leaning. The Breakfast Club is one of those panels that, or one of those morning shows that are left-leaning. Even the new lady, and I don't know her name, that just joined the show, she's a black woman. She's definitely a Kamala Harris supporter, and you'll understand by her line of questioning. And they brought on Angela Rye, who was, I believe she worked for the CBC. She was the president or something to that extent. I'll get that information later in this video. But not only was she then employed for the Democratic Party, she still is now an employee for the Democratic Party and is a friend. She says she's a personal friend of VP Kamala Harris. So with that in note, you see how it's kind of set up. So they're going to be on the defense the whole night and offensively attacking the Green Party. One interesting thing I liked about this, because this is a big platform and it gives the Green Party a way to kind of introduce themselves or reintroduce themselves into an audience of their brand of politics. And a lot of their politics has been co-opted by those who consider themselves to be progressive, but when they co-opt it, they water it down and take it over to the Democrats. So this is a refreshing moment to introduce these ideas of where these policies actually come from in their most potent sense, and who's still carrying on these policies, right?
Indeed. So let's get into a little bit more of this. Again, y'all, I got some timestamps. This is not my best work. Because today was the first time I actually watched the video and I had to watch it twice. So forgive me if we seem a little bit all over the place, but as things go along, things will tighten up insofar as where we're going with what we're playing and our analysis.
Dismantle the American empire. And I said, yeah, and you better hurry up quick and do it before somebody do it for you. Right? That those two processes look very different. If you take the $1 trillion a year that are being thrown away, murdering other people's children in foreign countries, and instead put that into investments in infrastructure, into social housing, into healthcare in this country, then that looks like a flourishing, prosperous future, not just for Black America, but for all of America, right? Whereas if you continue to torment humanity with the most brutal imperialist state ever to exist in human history, that we're coming up on a 9/11 memorial, right? Jill and I are going to do something, a march in Detroit. Well, what did Malcolm say about chickens coming home to roost? If we keep exporting this violence all over the globe, then it is going to keep coming right back here to our homes. And that's something that doesn't just concern Black and brown folk. That's something that concerns all folk. Last thing that I'll say on this, in response to your question, DJ Envy, I would, one version that we get of that question, regularly is like, well, you're throwing your vote away, right? That's the other version of it. Okay. And the thing is in this broke electoral college, and by the way, the Green Party stands for abolishing the electoral college. Okay. And so that hangover from slavery, and bringing in ranked choice voting in all voting systems, so that you're not putting people on opposite sides where they bang on each other, right? The real criminal red and blue is not the honorable street organizations like the Bloods and the Crips. The real criminal gangs, red and blue, are the Democrats and Republicans. And right now they're being encouraged to bang on each other in public. If you have ranked choice voting, then people are going to be drawn to the middle rather than drawn to extremes. But let's go back to the question about throwing your vote away. In this electoral college system, all y'all throwing your votes away. Because unless you live in one of them 4 or 5 swing states, it is already decided that your state is going to go either blue or red before you ever get into the booth. So instead of throwing your vote away on team red or team blue when it don't make no difference in the state that you in, why not vote for reparations now? Why not vote for a ceasefire now? Why not build power in a Green Party that is going to give people an actual viable third-party alternative so that we can get these thugs on either side of the aisle to behave like grown folk?
Well, so you raise an interesting point around throwing your vote away, and there's actually numbers on that.
So I want to stop here. Because the brother cooked, right? And you can tell that he has an answer to the questions, but he's a political novice. He's a political novice, and he even gets corrected by Jill Stein at one point in the course of this discourse, and he acknowledges that he comes out of academia. That's why I wanted to let you all know that someone that is erudite himself. I've written several books. I've written several scholastic papers that are cited in actual books that cost $200 and $300 on the phenomenon of Islam in or among what's called African Americans in this country. I'm very well familiar with this brother and his works and his lectures, et cetera, et cetera. But even in that, he's still prepared enough to answer the questions that are trying to question their legitimacy, because this is what Angela Rye, this is what the Breakfast Club, this is what the Democratic machine is trying to do. They're trying to question this brother and this particular party and Jill Stein's legitimacy. So, Ibrahim, you want me to play her part, or did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I just wanted to say one thing, because she's going to ignore everything he said that the Green Party platform stand for. And what he's trying to draw a line is that the Green Party stands for what Black America needs, what the American freedmen community needs, and what many American needs. She's going to ignore all of that and just hop right over it and skip right into how you throwing your vote away. One thing about it is his whole introduction to the Green Party platform was about stop the spread of imperialism, stop this warmongering machine, and reinvest in America. In 2024, that seemed as a radical ideology. That's the sad part. So here he goes. The Democratic shield, the black-faced Democrat, is going to skip over all of that and go right into a Democratic neoliberal talking point.
But you forgot one aspect. It was the fourth aspect, and that was reparations for the American freedmen, right? That was and I know that's the thing we touch on all the time. So, but I want to play real quick, Ibrahim, before we continue. I want to play what Van Jones said. And I want people to understand this. And as we move forward in doing this dissection, or the best dissection we could do with this short amount of time that we're trying to do this, I want you to hear Van Jones's words about reparations. And I want you to think about Angela Rye as we move forward. You remember Angela Rye was on CNN and the topic of reparations came up. And I believe it was the topic of reparations. And she said something to the effect of, my people's is doing okay. My people is not poor. Man, I was trying to find that video before I got on here today, because I really, really wanted to play that. So if any one of you can locate that video, put it in any one of my inboxes, if especially if you rock with us. And I want to play that, because that should be a part of this discussion moving forward as we analyze this, what came off as an angry black woman in Angela Rye, which seems to be a weapon that the Democrats are trying to employ this election cycle. So let's play this clip.
This party behind her, but she's doing something, she's fixing some problems on the left. This whole thing has been an implicit critique of problems that we've had on the left. The left before we walked in here was about justice, diversity, trigger warnings, reparations for the past, and a bunch of party poopers and scolds. That was the knock on the left. We have gone from talking about justice, which is wonderful, but now it's about freedom. It's not just about diversity, it's about patriotism. It's not just about trigger warnings. In fact, that's gone. It's tough, tough, tough. Reparations for the past? No. Fight for the future. Party poopers? No. We legalize fun. We legalize fun. We put the party back in the Democratic Party. And so this is So I wanted to play that.
because you all that may be watching outside of this network need to understand Angela Rye's mindset. Reparations, get that out of here. Justice, man, we don't care about that no more. We care about power. We're taking a play out of the right-wing playbook, and that's what we're going to stick to. So let us continue on.
Dr. Stein, you raised over $7.3 million for a recount in 2016, a recount of votes that probably actually do matter. In Michigan, for example, you acquired 51,463 votes. Of course, Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton by 10,704 votes, and she lost by half a percentage point in Michigan. In Wisconsin, 31,006 votes. You acquired. Trump beat Hillary Clinton by 22,177 votes. In Pennsylvania, 49,485 votes, and Donald Trump beat her by a little over 67,000 votes. You engaged in raising money for a recount because our votes actually do matter. Can you talk about the results of that recount in those 3 states that I just named?
See, for those of us that know, with them little head nods and you know what I'm saying, because we grew up around that attitudinal expression with your words and trying to not sound harsh but be harsh by implying that, because you remember what I said. DJ Envy's question is the precursor of these Democratic shill's attack on Jill Stein and brother Rudolph Ware. It's the precursor. So what she's doing here is she's doing some subtraction, right? And letting it be known that you took votes from Hillary in these states, this amount in this state, and Trump won by this amount. You took votes from Hillary in that state, and Trump won by this amount, right? Real slick how she tried to do this and make it seem innocent, right? That make it seem like she's not attacking their position for the Democrats. She said Kamala Harris is her best friend. Anybody that goes against the Democratic machine, any of us are going to be attacked. We're being told to get in line. See, they can't tell us to get in line. That's why a lot of them don't want to give us no real big media airplay, because we don't do that get in line stuff over here. Y'all got things confused. But and people waking up, and men all across the nation, let me say, men are standing up. Ibrahim, you want to speak to that before Jill Stein responds?
Well, I don't want to speak to that, but I just want to speak to her so people can understand who Angela Rye is. She, just like Roland Martin, she is a Boule member. She is a member of Lynx. And she was the general counsel for the CBC, and she runs a political action committee as well that advocates for the CBC and around Democratic issues. So when she is, and she's a trained attorney, she's an attorney as a profession. So when she is making these questionings for Jill and Will, you can like see how she's trying to corner them in, right? This whole framing is that they took votes away from Hillary Clinton and made Hillary Clinton lose. That's why she came out with the framing of how many votes Jill Stein was able to get in certain key states like Michigan and how many votes that Hillary Clinton lost by. Now, she doesn't end on that note. She just ends with why each vote is important. But this is a masterful attorney's trick, right? I'm going to frame this without ending this on what I want you to answer. I'm just going to make you look a certain way. Then I'm going to ask you another question so you will kind of admit your guilt in the process.
Exactly. Excellent analysis.
Sure. And let me say that every vote counts, and we believe because every vote counts, that's why we don't want the Electoral College telling us that some states matter and others don't. Absolutely. We believe, and in terms of how we are conducting our campaign, we're in swing states, we're in red states, we're in blue states. We are all about building power and really helping to help people to grab the power that belongs to us. The fallacy there, which is what the Democrats in particular harp on, and it's not true, the idea that votes for Greens came at the expense of votes for Hillary Clinton. We actually know in fact, from exit polls and just from talking to people who vote for us, and it's about 61% of everybody who votes for us would not have come out to vote. So those votes didn't come from Hillary Clinton, and some of them actually came from Trump too. So if you actually crunch the numbers, what you see is that the outcome would not have changed at all if we weren't in the no electoral college vote would have changed. Exactly, none. If you calculate the fact 60%, 61% of our votes would not have voted one bit, and of the remaining,
would love to do that calculation, but the only thing
I'd be glad to share it with you.
No, I'm not. I actually am. I'm a lawyer because I don't do math like that. But what I will say is, we don't really know that. Like folks come in, and you all know this too, from Ralph Nader to you. Right, folks will say that
Ralph
they're going to
Nader,
vote
who
for
was
you.
one of about 6 third-party candidates in that election.
But
Ralph Nader.
But you don't know what my point was going to be.
All
My
right, go
point
ahead.
was just going to be that folks will say, and it's happened to Hillary Clinton, it's happened to Kamala Harris, it's happened to Donald Trump. Folks will say in a poll that they were going to vote or they are going to vote for this person.
That's true. You never know.
You don't know.
But we also know that 1 out of every 3 voters did not vote in the last presidential election in 2020. 1 out of every 3 eligible voters chose not to vote. And who were they? They were largely, disproportionately of color, young, and low income. Exactly the people to whom our agenda speaks. So, a lot about voting is indeterminate, and it's not going to be predicted by polls, because polls, are by definition people who tend to vote. But what we're talking to are people who tend not to vote. Don't they also deserve a vote? And let me also cite the statistics that show the numbers are off the charts right now in terms of people who want other options. This is sampled every year by Gallup and also by Pew. But Gallup shows that the numbers now are 63% who are saying that the two parties are doing such a bad job of serving the public interest that 63% say we need another option. We need another major party.
So she does an excellent job of refuting Angela Rye. You can tell that they came prepared to answer all of the questions, right? It's just like the reparations when we're having debates on reparations and people try to debate us. We have every question already available. How are they going to pay for it? We start getting into modern monetary theory. How do you know who gets it? Oh, well, the United States keeps impeccable records, and they know every immigrant that has migrated into this country since they started with the immigration, especially that Immigration Act of 1790. They definitely know every black immigrant, because the black immigrants didn't come over here in any meaningful numbers until after 1960, right? Like every single, what about welfare? Isn't that reparations? Now, we got boxed out of welfare, the social safety net, for 30 years, while that same program, welfare, government handouts, built up the white middle class, right? We got an answer for everything that they try to throw at us. And this is what, go ahead, Brother Jill Stein and Brother Ware does here.
There's an indirect question and there's a direct question. Angela Rye is framing it hard, and then she asked a soft question. The reason why Jill Stein started the way she started, she asked the indirect question. So she caught that. She caught that framing to try to derail the conversation. And I thought that was very important. You're not going to get away with nothing. And that's why it's important to have Dr. Stein there and Dr. Ware there, right? Because they're catching everything. So she starts off why it's important for everybody to go out and vote, but then she goes into, like, we didn't steal any votes, right? We didn't take any votes away from either party. We campaign in states that are going to go to the blue, and we campaign in states that's going to go to the red. And we also targeted people who would normally not vote, right? 1/3 of eligible voters don't even vote, right? They have voter apathy or whatever their reason is. And she's saying that is our target audience. Those are the people that we poll when we come out with our policy. And I thought that was very important. This whole conversation is going to be about microaggressions until Angela Rye just can't take it anymore. And then she just takes her mask off.
So I'm trying to skip through it. Some, of course, we can't do a full breakdown to this thing. We'll be sitting here for 5 hours trying to do that. So I'm going to skip through it. We're going to try to hit some of the most important points and, and try not to be on here too long. So let's go to my next timestamp that I have that I hope is right.
You guys are you're saying that you're competing in red states and battleground states. I'm sorry, y'all jump in too, but it just
See, she's letting it be known. I know I'm taking over the show.
Yeah. See, she's the guest. She's the guest host.
That's right.
The other 3 hosts is there. She's actually sitting in the seat that what is her, the comedian from Baltimore, Jess Hilarious would be in. Right. And old girl, I'm sorry, I don't know old girl's name, but the fill-in guest would usually have that seat because she's the replacement right now. She's taking over that whole section. All of them is crowded in on the other side of Dr. Ware. So she was brought here as a hired gun. And she was probably brought here because when they booked this interview, I'm sure the DNC seen it coming and they immediately called Angela Rye and said, you got to get to New York City. We want, you know what I'm saying? This is not just by happenstance. Like, oh, I was just in New York City. No, this girl is normally in DC and then on the West Coast. She's not normally in NYC. So this was done. A lot of the time you'll see Angela Rye on the show. She'll be on the show the same way Figaro was on the show. She'll be on the monitor asking questions. She's live in studio for this debate. So none of this stuff just happened by happenstance. All of this stuff is planned.
This is a dope interaction. So let's keep going. You know what I'm saying? Like,
there are at least 13 states where you all are not like on the ballot, or folks would have to write you in, or it's still contested. You're actively petitioning, for example, to be on the ballot in Rhode Island. So in those states where there are also Muslim people who you're saying you're winning over based on a poll that you're going to find the information for. What options do they have? Because if this is a 50 state strategy, y'all
this is called leading.
So in every
say it again.
This is called leading. This is like if you was interrogating somebody on the witness stand, this would be leading. You're leading them somewhere.
That's right. That's right. And this is why it's important for us to do these breakdowns, and we want to point these things out to the crowd because the name of our platform is Be the Power, where we are pushing for political candidates and political organization and for us to become political operatives and fully immerse ourselves into this political sphere. Right?
They're warmed up now, right? It's funny because Charlemagne, I don't think Charlemagne and Envy really understands what's going on. Them two get it, right? The 2 doctors get it. Even the 2 doctors get it. And that's why he tells her, like, no, it's cool. Let's go. Because they came prepared for this. They knew it was going to be a hostile environment.
That's right.
Every state except for 3. There are 3 states that don't allow write-in campaigns. But write-ins are doable campaigns. Joe Biden himself won a write-in in New Hampshire because he was not in the primary for various reasons. Yeah, right. But even so, even in a primary, he ran a write-in campaign.
You see how Angela Rye tried to dismiss it like primary. Does it matter? The fact was he won a primary based off of write-ins.
She said 13 states. Jill just checked her. No, it's 3. It's 3 where you can't do write-ins, not 13.
That's right.
Get your facts right. And you know this because your guy, Joe Biden, Mr. If you don't vote for me, you not black, won a primary through write-ins.
That's right. That's right.
And did fabulous. So having the ability to do a write-in, if the community is really motivated, and
in Wyoming, North Dakota,
but in the overwhelming majority of states, we are actually on the ballot.
We will be on as write-ins in all of the states, with the exception of, I think it's South Dakota,
Indiana, and Oklahoma.
That's right. Those 3 states.
But we are on the ballot, not write-ins. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Well, so we will be a choice, an anti-genocide, anti-war, pro-worker, pro-reparations, climate emergency choice, and the only one.
So basically what Angela Rye is trying to do is say, y'all are not even going to be on the ballot in every state. What's the reason for y'all even running? Because y'all just taking votes, going to take votes away from my homegirl. And even though Jill Stein has already debunked that idea, right now, we've not cross-checked or done any cross-references, which is usually something that we would do on this platform. We would fine-comb everybody's statement and put a check on it or call cap. You know, I don't care who it is. Y'all know we are about us over here. There's only one politician that we're promoting so far, and that's Brother Marcel Dixon down in South Carolina running against Jim Clyburn. So you already know. So she's already schooled her. And Angela Rye's thing is, I am going to keep trying to invalidate you. Keep trying to invalidate the very reason why you're trying to run, not based off of the issues that you are presenting insofar as offering an alternative choice, but because you're taking votes away from my homegirl. And this isn't just confined to Kamala. This is when Cornel West announced the so-called bad Democrats. This is a group of derelicts that's usually in Twitter spaces. A few of them get invited out to, you know, maybe a campaign event here or a campaign event there. And they're just there to argue with us. That's all they do. These people talked about Dr. Cornel West like a dog. I mean, they brought up his wife, his marriages. They talked about when Barack Obama, when Barack Obama didn't endorse Kamala right away, sassy Roland Martin got on his platform on some, what you waiting for? Like, what you waiting for to vote? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, go ahead, bro. I'm like, yo, this is crazy.
No, I was
This
just
is
gonna
the
say
machine.
they brought up that he owed child support. And I'm like, what does that have to do anything with the candidacy that he's running? Like,
that's right.
Crazy.
It's crazy. So let me see. Do I want to keep going there? I'm trying to move this thing forward as much as possible. I'll let this play. I'll let these next.
Which has nationwide status. We will be on the ballot for 95% of voters. That is more than enough to win an election. But, you know, I don't want to just focus on winning the election. This is an odd election. And I would not rule out a win, but that's not the only reason to run. Every vote cast for our campaign is a vote against genocide. It is a shot across the bow of the endless war machine to say that we, the people, are getting organized. We are moving forward. We are growing. We have organization and infrastructure that we have never had before. We've never been able to break through like we are now because Greens have been ahead of the curve on a lot of things like climate change, on reparations, on healthcare as a human right, on housing as a human right, also on Gaza and genocide. We've been very much ahead of the curve. And on cutting the military budget. We're spending as much as the next 10 major military budgets.
So I'm gonna pause it there and then I'm gonna continue. I thought she messed up. And Angela Rye and the rest of them that have been really sitting quiet for most of this discussion, they're gonna pounce. They're gonna pounce. So, you know, here it comes.
Around the world right now, we're more than all 10 of them put together. We can cut our military budget, which is not benefiting us here in America, and put those dollars into what we critically need right here and right now. We should have, we need to be raising the floor for schools across the country. Why should this quality of your school depend on luxury housing in your community? Schools should not depend only on property taxes from housing. The federal government should be in the business of raising the floor so that we have a common standard across the country. So regardless of your zip code, you have good, high quality education where you're starting out. Things like that is where we need to be spending our money, not on endless war, on genocide, on killing children, on massacring women and children every day. You know, the police violence in this country. We don't need that police violence. And there are alternatives to that that can actually move us forward. Yeah, go ahead.
You were a candidate in 2012, 2016.
Right.
What's the difference in 2024?
Oh, man, it's the difference between night and day. You know, it's the thing about.
I thought that was the part where they're gonna go at her. I think it's coming up because she said, it sounded like she said winning is not everything, right? But what she's saying is that, yeah, of course we're in it to win, but more importantly, we want to send a message. We want everybody to know, the oligarchy, the corporatocracy, et cetera, that there is a movement happening and they are not voting for you people anymore, right? She's being realistic, but they're going to try to go at her
about
on that
being
point.
ahead of the curve, and then the curve catches up to you. Curve is catching up to us on all the things, really, our agenda. In fact, the agenda that we've been putting forward since 2012 really is the progressive democratic agenda right now. Healthcare is a human right. Housing is a human right. Reparations, to the extent that they give it lip service, the Green New Deal. Yeah.
It sounds like what you want to happen if you're not planning to win an election. And
Who said we wasn't planning to win?
What I heard,
I'm saying it's not the only.
Exactly.
It's not
okay,
the
so
only.
it's hard to understand.
Yeah,
And
as a candidate, to hear that from a candidate, it kind of gives like, well, why are you here then?
It does.
It does
sound like
Lauren LaRosa. Somebody look up Lauren LaRosa. We need to do some background on her. We need to know if she's a freedman. First and foremost, we got to know if she's of freedman stock. That's first. I've never heard of this person before, never seen her before. She comes through with the New York style bamboo earrings on. Don't know, to me, doesn't know anything about politics based on the little bit that I've heard of her on this particular in this particular discussion. So I want to know who this person is. I should have looked her up earlier, but I was running while listening, and then I had to come back, take notes, et cetera, et cetera. So
No. May I go in on this, please? Because I would not have joined this campaign. I would not have come out of prestigious position in the academy and organizing if I didn't think that we had a chance to win this fight. Look, I'm converted to Islam after reading the autobiography of Malcolm X at age 15. Malcolm brought me into knowledge of self, brought me to Islam, schooled me on the Black radical tradition. I've been teaching and building this community. I speak fluent Wolof, lived in West Africa for years. I got a good life, and I'm not coming out of that in order to play no spoiler. So I was raised in that Black Muslim tradition. And just like Muhammad Ali, I came in because I believe we have a chance to shock the world. And I know that the deck is stacked against us, but this right here is part of our strategy, right? Because what happens is that when people hear this agenda and understand that we're talking about erasing the generational wealth gap now, right? Having a bunch of Black Wall Streets and new Tulsas that we can establish now, not another 100 years, not going with your hands out to the Democrats, like Malcolm said, where they, treat you like a political chump. You put them first, they put you last, as Malcolm said. We erase that in this generation. We build Black businesses, Black Wall Street, and they can't burn it down this time. So
the brother is spitting, he's spitting hot fire. And I love that part right there, Brother Ibrahim. How he comes into Islam is through the autobiography of Malcolm X, right? Which leads him obviously into the path of what's called orthodox form of Islam. But he speaks to that Black liberation theology. That is the wind beneath his wings. He sounds as if he comes out of the school of thinking in that sense of the 60s and 70s radicals against, what some would call imperialism, or what we would just call the system in this country. When you contrast that with the red, black, and green movement today, the Pan-African movement today, they are all Democrats. All of them are aligned, damn near all of them, let me say, are, at least the ones we come across, are aligned with the Democratic Party. They too, these people that's supposed to come from the same type of freedom-fighting Black liberation theology that this brother says that informs him, these people are in the space coming at us as well. And those that are familiar with us in this space, you've seen our battles with them, and we shut them down just as easily too. What do you say to that, Brother Ibrahim?
They are the paper Panthers of 2024. If you notice, all of them are pro-Black and independent until we get close to a general election, and then they all somehow fall over onto the left side of the political spectrum. And it's like all of our issues go out the window, and we'll get back to that later. What was very important about this, it was supposed to be an interview, but it ended up being a debate. But what was very important is about this, from the very beginning, Dr. Weir and Dr. Stein drew a line in the sand and said, these are our issues, and these are what we fighting. These are what we are fighting for. And everybody else on the other side of this line represents the red and the blue, not just the red or not just the blue. And I thought that was very important. So what happens is Angela Rye and the rest of the Breakfast Club guests, they find themselves on the other side of that line. And this is why they're pushing back so hard. This is why you get these, these direct and indirect questions rolled into one. All of these questions are very long. And what it's meant to do is box you in and trip you up. So I like this. This is very important, and this is why you bring your VP with you. You don't bring your VP to a CNN interview and have them only answer 2 questions, right? In a friendly environment where you probably already got the questions before you showed up, days before you showed up, right? This is you bring them when it's going to be hostile, and y'all both got to put the gloves on and get that work done. And that's exactly what they came to do. And I appreciate this because later, when we read the comment section, you'll see how many people got introduced to the Green Party's platform and ideologies. And this is very important because what happens is every 4 years, this is what AOC said, every 4 years, somebody from the Green Party, Jill Stein in particularly, shows up. No, they're doing work. They're running in smaller state elections, and they're winning some of them. You just don't pay attention to them until your paymasters tell you, hey, you need to squash that Green Party's idea out. Hey, you need to go and challenge the Green Party. So this is very, very important that people know some of the issues that you would like to be represented on. There's a party that is representing these issues and they're pushing for, and they have been pushing for. Like Dr. Stein said, we've been doing this since 2012. As far as the issue of reparations, the issue of Green New Deal, the issue of universal health care. Some of these issues have been adopted by the Progressive Party. Some of these issues have been passed in the legislation. Some of these issues are being worked on now. And some of these issues, they're still being left behind or trying to be left behind. And what I mean by that is, in particular, the issue of reparations that you heard Van Jones said. So this is very important that, hey, people, we have a party. And this Angela Rye and the Breakfast Club job to push back and say, hey, well, if this thing strictly comes down to numbers, you don't have the numbers. You guys aren't even on the ballot in X number of states. So just by pure numbers, you lost. And what she does is she tries to bring them over to her side, right? Any really good movie, before the protagonist and the antagonist gets into it, what you'll see is one of the sides will come to the other side and say, hey, just join my side. We can be powerful together. We can be powerful together, right?
What the Joker said, don't talk to me like you're one of them. You're not one of them. You and I are just alike.
yeah. And this is that Darth Vader. This is Anakin before he switches over. And,
That's right.
The Sith Lord is trying to get Dr. Weir and Dr. Stein. It's like, hey, just come over, because what Angela Rye says is that we believe in a Green New Deal. We believe in universal health care. She says, personally, I agree in abolishing the Electoral College. It seems like some of the issues that you want, we are aligned with those issues. And what Dr. Stein says is, no. We started with these issues. Y'all co-opted the issue because they was populist, but that doesn't make us the same. So they continue to draw the line in the sand and say, no, we are not y'all and y'all are not us. We fighting for two different things. We anti-war, we anti-genocide, we pro-reparations, right? We have so much more. We anti-big money in politics, right? So we can't be the same. And I thought that was very important. We not the same, and we not coming over.
Indeed. So let's play a little bit more. I'm trying to hit my timestamps. We doing good. We doing good so far, family. Remember to hit that like button, share the video out, let people know that a discussion is going down. We're giving a dissection of the Breakfast Club interview from a Be the Power perspective. Make sure you all subscribe to the channel. We got to grow our own media. We are the new political voices that's coming up. Like I said, we are the fledgling eagles. We are the baby birds right now. And we're starting to stretch our wings. And many people know about us in this movement. You know, even when I hear Brother Ware speak about the same rising tides lift all boats rhetoric that Kamala speaks to, this is something that people in this movement harped on and made a general point over the past several years based on a comment that Obama made, that when you lift everybody else up, then black people are going to be lifted up automatically. And the problem with that is that we never get lifted up. And I used this analogy before, what seems like a flotation device for everybody else usually serves as an anchor for us in the middle of the ocean, where you have the ocean floor and the surface of the water. So let us play a little bit more of this and see where I'm at. I think we're at smoke for the Democratic Party with this timestamp I got coming up.
They do not predict outcomes, they produce them.
And if people are saying, if people are screaming for other choices, don't they have a right to hear those other choices?
I think they do, but I think that what you have are people that need a certain level of validity to the campaign. You will not hear Donald Trump or Kamala Harris tonight on this debate stage saying, hey, it's not just about us winning. Winning is everything. And even if we want to say, hey, this shouldn't be a binary choice. I grew up also raised by an activist. My dad brought home the picture of all of the parties in South Africa.
Show you right.
A multi-party democracy is great. That's not what we have. We have a binary choice between.
Well, you may say so, but the American, it's not in the Constitution. The American people don't want that. The American people are explicitly on records in absolutely unprecedented numbers, saying we want other choices. And not only do people want other choices, they want to hear their choices.
I do believe in a third party. I think we need other options. But it does seem like you all have a lot more smoke for the Democratic Party. I just wonder why.
Yeah. So if I can jump in on that particular point. So to kind of finish the previous one, I absolutely would not be in this race if I didn't think that we had a chance to win. I wouldn't waste y'all's time, and I wouldn't waste my own time. So that's number one. We have had to, up until this point in time, target the Democrats specifically because they're the ones that are suing to keep us off the ballot. They're the ones that are trying to knock us off the ballot in Georgia. They are the ones that are doing everything they can to keep us from coming. Wisconsin. If we were not a problem for them, AOC wouldn't be, doing her little sorry attack ads.
So I want to stop right there, Ibrahim. Anybody that's been following this platform, we've been saying this, what he just said, for the past 5 years, that the Democrats have been our main enemy in our fight for reparative justice, in our fight for our people. It's either get down or lay down. And this is what Angela Rye comes to represent. She's on her Beanie Siegel, a Broad Street bully. You either going to get down or lay down, or else I'm going to start punching on you, which is what she does at the end of the stream. Did you want to speak to that, brother? I think you're freezing up. Well, I don't know if that's sure if that's me. Somebody said we may have to take our fight to the UN. Nah, we just gotta organize. If you follow this platform, you know about our Back South strategy and scaling our numbers up in our ancestral states like South Carolina, Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, where we already have the numbers and we can start running and producing our own governors, which are like mini presidents over these states, and our own senators, to send to the U.S. Senate, our own House reps to send to the United States House of Representatives. I'm not saying or ruling out the United Nations. I'm just saying that we just have to organize ourselves here first, because that's something that we have not tried yet. We have not tried radical republicanism in the same way that the hippies did in the 60s and the 70s, and taking over the state of Vermont, which produced your Patrick Leahy's and your Bernie Sanders. Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Where's my mouse at?
Okay, I think my brother Ibrahim is having some issues right now. Yeah, can you hear me? All right, my brother Ibrahim is having some issues right now. So let me read Shannon's comment real quick. She says the UN already knows and stated American freedmen deserves repair/reparations. The 5 pillars of what is reparations international was put out in 2010 on the U.S. by the U.S. on purpose. And I know because I remember, and shout out to my brother Grimm. Shout out to my brother Grimm. He spoke to one of the UN. How do you pronounce that? Rapporteurs or reporteurs is some French way to say it. I can't remember what year that was. I don't think it was 2010 though. It was definitely later than that. I don't want to say definitely. I believe that it was later than that. And I remember the articles coming out saying that the United Nations agrees that the American freedmen, as we call our group, are deserving of reparative justice. So I'm gonna play a little bit more of this, and then we're gonna get into into AOC because they're gonna go at AOC. And I'm gonna pause this for a minute, and then we're gonna give our take on AOC and show people just how phony she is. I should have found her black scent video that she did at the National Action Network, which is the same black scent that Kamala used, which is the same black scent that Obama used, which is the same black scent that Hillary of all people use. I see that week is coming now. I'm like, yo, looking back at some of this stuff and not being as politically aware as I am now, we always wish we could go back. Man, I wish I would have knew more about this, when I was younger. And we can't, obviously, but what we can do is expand our platforms. We can unify our voices and make sure that our children understand this is how these people play in our faces and start talking about hot sauce in their bags and a whole bunch of other nonsense like washing collard greens in the tub.
Against us, that we came back at. So the Democrats are attacking us. We're responding in kind. Just to be plain about this, the reason why they don't want Dr. Jill Stein on a debate stage is because she will be able to look at Team Red and say, this is a party that is led by a domestic terrorist and a criminal. Mm-hmm. Okay. Tried to overthrow the government on January 6th and is convicted of numerous crimes, including sexual abuse that amounts to rape and so forth. So this man is a domestic terrorist and a criminal. Okay, she can look to Kamala Harris. And sorry,
come
on, my brother.
Hold on. No, it's honest to God, no disrespect. To be perfectly honest, it's just the way that I had gotten used to pronouncing the name because it resembles a name that is used in West Africa.
But you understand the point of getting it right, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you have to.
Absolutely.
As brother on the team with the other, you gotta.
Absolutely, I will not make that mistake again. I'm begging.
You just have to type.
I've been on mute all this time. My bad. My bad. Somebody said he cooking too. Oh man, my bad, y'all. So this idea that Kamala, right? And that's the way I pronounce it. And I want to go back to that before we move forward because I opened up with this. The reason why I started pronouncing her name as Kamala because I looked up how her name was said. And I even looked up her mother. This was a few years ago. And that was the closest that I can get to it, Kamala. Because everybody, especially quote unquote black folks, was saying Kamala because we're from the hood. And if we were to name one of our daughters a name like that with the same exact spelling, that is exactly how we would pronounce it. Now, all of a sudden, there's a problem if you pronounce her name wrong. I want to bring that back, because that, to me, they just disrespected this brother. And, he wasn't trying to be disrespectful. Now, if I was on there, I'm going to keep saying Kamala. Now, you could keep interrupting me, and I'm going to keep saying it the way that I want to say it on purpose, just so you can keep interrupting me, and I can make the point that y'all more worried about me pronouncing this woman's name than you are about the policy prescriptions that I'm bringing forth to help my people, which she does not stand on, which was not mentioned one time at the Democratic National Convention. And we could go point for point on anything that you claim the Biden administration did for my people, because we've already done the research to that as well. Check my Twitter thread that I've posted. I've done the breakdown on here as well. But let me play this again.
Yeah, right, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you have to.
Absolutely.
The debate stage is because she will be able to look at Team Red and say, this is a party that is led by a domestic terrorist and a criminal. Okay, tried to overthrow the government on January 6th and is convicted of numerous crimes, including sexual abuse that amounts to rape and so forth. So this man is a domestic terrorist and a criminal. Okay, she can look to Kamala Harris and
Kamala.
sorry,
Come on,
my brother.
Hold on. No, it's honest to God, no disrespect. To be perfectly honest, it's just the way that I have gotten used to pronouncing the name, because it resembles a name that is used in West Africa.
But now you got to explain, man. Yo, I'm not doing all that. I'm just letting it be known. So whenever I'm being interviewed, I am not doing all that. I'm not explaining nothing. If I get it wrong, I get it wrong. My name is Naheem. People say Naeem all the time. Why? Because Naheem is an anglicized version of the Arabic word Naeem. So people, I don't be correcting them when they say it all the time, or they'll ask, am I saying your name right? I'll say it's Naheem. It's Naheem. There's an H in there. And I wouldn't want anybody, if I was a public figure, someone that was running for office, to be correcting people every time they said Naeem. It just makes no sense to me. And this is an attack ploy. We've seen sassy males like Michael Eric Dyson on CNN doing the same thing. Oh, come on. You guys are trying to mispronounce her name, man. Don't come at me like that. I'm sorry. We ain't doing all that. I'm not going to be explaining myself and none of that. I'm going to say it the way I say it. When I get it right, I'll get it right. Now, let's move on with the discussion.
But you understand the point of getting it right, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you have to. As the
Absolutely.
brother on the team with the other.
Now, the brother on the team with the other. So I want you all to understand what I don't even know who this person is. The brother on the team with the other. So she's saying you're sitting here with this white woman mispronouncing Kamala's name, because that's what white people do. They mispronounce Kamala's name. And plus, she's a white woman. How dare you sit in front of us and keep getting this woman's name wrong that you never had right from the get-go, that nobody had right until recently, because like I said, everybody called her Kamala. Well, black people called her Kamala. Not one person that you ever hear make any beef about that. Who is this person? And now when Jill Stein is going to speak to the white supremacist talking points that Angela Rye is making, and that's exactly what she was making, white supremacist talking points, and you're going to see Angela Rye get offended, and then get offensive. So you have the brother explaining himself and being defensive, like, no, I don't mean it. Well, because this race card thing has been played. But when the same thing happens to Angela Rye, I never spew white supremacy talking points. Yes, you do. You said that black Trump supporters are, wait a minute, let's play that. You said black Trump supporters are invisible. Let me see, do I have that? Let's play that.
Angela, to bring you in, those battleground polls also show Donald Trump pulling in 19% support from black voters. That is actually triple what he got in 2020. What do you make of that? What is he doing right to win them over?
I don't make anything of these polls that are talking to imaginary black folks. I would love to know, for one, who they're talking to, because I've not seen.
So you
them
think that they don't
anywhere.
exist?
I think that they are, maybe, you know what, they might be the invisible man that Ralph Ellison talked about in his book. I don't know who these people are. There was a Trump ad that was released, I believe.
So she's saying, I don't know. That's a white supremacist talking point. Ibrahim, you remember back in 2019 and 2020 when we had this reparations movement popping, and the DNC started to say that on MSDNC, MSNBC started to say that we were Russian bots. They're trying to replay that line right now, but it's too many of us coming out with too many videos and visuals of ourselves, especially our sisters with the hashtag Never Kamala and the I am a black woman, or I am an American black woman, and I will not be voting for Kamala Harris. What's your thoughts on that, brother?
Charlemagne laughs because he knows this is a fallacy. She's lying from the bottom of her throat. She knows dang on well. What she should have said is these people are invisible to the Democratic Party. That's why they migrated over to the right. That's who we are invisible to. We're not Casper voters running around here, and we sure are not Russian bots or somebody who is online just making up accounts saying things about Kamala Harris. We got better things to do with our time than that. And I'm sure foreigners do as well, right? You can control politics through money, not people. Y'all are the ones who's trying to control politics through these narratives that you continue to bring up. One of them being that people die for the right to vote and not for the quality of life that voting is supposed to get you. Angela Rye is just at this point, the mask is starting to come off. I love it because, you know, what the Green Party candidates is doing is just keep drawing that line in the sand. Keep drawing that line in the sand and see how hard these Democratic supporters are going to push. La Rosa, Charlemagne tries to play, you know, he's the good cop. Hindi is the dumb cop. And Angela Rye and La Rosa, they the ones who come in and tell the other cop take a break, right? Because they come in to rough you up. But they're not going for it. And I'm glad that they stand in their ground, because as voters, we need to hear this. It's supposed to be a democracy, right? It's funny because he said it's not the Republicans that's kicking us off of the ballot. It's the Democrats that's kicking us off the ballot. And I've been saying from the very beginning, the Democrats are the boy who cried wolf. They the ones who keep screaming, look at the right, look at the right, look at the right. The right is going to end democracy. Trump is going to come in and be a dictatorship, while at the same time doing everything that's undemocratic, undermining Bernie Sanders 2 presidential elections in a row, not giving you a primary this time, not giving you an open primary when Joe Biden drops out, the whole time knowing Joe Biden was in cognitive decline, and continue to lie day after day after day and say, no, this man is good. He's even lying, talking about, no, I just needed a nap. Look, sir, what you going through, you're going to need more than a nap to get you right. You about to take the long nap, right?
Dirt
But
nap.
anyway,
The upper room.
the forever nap. And not to the upper room either, with all that racist history you got. But the
That's
point
right.
is it's them that keep undermining democracy. So if there was somebody that was destroying democracy, it would come from the Democratic Party. What the Republicans did in the overturning of Roe v. Wade, that was in the framing of the Constitution, right? You get your Supreme Court justices together and you vote on it. You take it to the people, from the people, you take it to the highest courts of the land, and you vote on it. Now, whether you don't like the outcome or not, that's on you, but that doesn't make it undemocratic. There's a lot of people that didn't like same-sex marriages, right? But it passed. It passed through the House and the Senate. It got signed into law. I'm sorry, but that's part of the democratic process, not holding a primary. What Nancy Pelosi did her whole time as the senator is not democratic. What Joe Biden did, and then Joe Biden turned around and said, if you wanted somebody else, you would have chose somebody else. I won my primary. I don't remember him debating RFK. I don't remember him debating Marianne Williamson. I don't remember him debating those governors who wanted to run for election, who was told that if you continue this campaign, you're going to be nothing in this party. I don't remember that. So if anybody is undermining and killing democracy, it's the Democratic Party. So you can tell, and this is some of the outlash that we see on social media with Black people. We see it. They see it. Everybody sees it. But the Democratic Party just keeps telling that lie. They like, no, it's not piss, it's rain. It don't smell like rain. This don't smell like water. This is strong. It got a apple cider ammonia base to it. Like this is not water. No, it's rain. It's rain. So no, everybody sees it but the Democratic Party. I think there's a possibility. There's a possibility that Kamala's whole campaign could be smoke and mirrors. It could be smoke and mirrors, and this election can be over with by 11 o'clock because they held her up on smoke and mirrors. And why do I say this? Because they did it for Biden. They did it for Biden for the past 24 months. So they can definitely do it for Kamala for less than 3 months. And then on election night, on Super Tuesday, it may implode. And they'll blame the right. But what it really is that all of the money that they took in, they just use it to do false propaganda. And like the doctor said, right, they're not trying to tell a narrative, right? They have the power to try to dictate it, right? You could try to bring it into fruition. So we'll see if it works or not. But I like, there's a thought in the back of my mind that says this may be her whole campaign, these whole polls. Angela Rye just said in this interview that you just played, I don't listen to those polls, right? There's a whole thinking in the back of my mind that says like her whole campaign may be smoke and mirrors. She may be losing just as bad as Biden was.
Because we got the video. Shout out to the fan, man. Shout out to all of the members of United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen. If you would like to join our organization, visit our website, usadof.org. Hit that membership link. Join, or I think it's called Join. We kind of redid our website now. It looks a little bit better. Also, go to bethepower.org, especially the brothers. You know, Be the Power is for everybody. But going forward, we want to make sure that the voices of our men are elevated. Go to our website, bethepower.org. Look for the link in the menu bar that says Men at the Head. We are stepping up in a way that we're supposed to step up as men and step into a space where the power is being divvied up and delegated to everybody except us. Power concedes nothing without a demand. And like Ghostface said, elbowed our way inside loud and got on. We're elbowing our way inside of this political game. And can't nobody or nothing stop us, man. Shout out to P. Burley for sending the contribution. Honors for your contribution, fam. But I want to play this video of what this now we're fighting for reparations. This is 2020. And this comes out in the middle of the fight for reparations. Peep what she says.
Us needing to all be lifted out of poverty. I'm not impoverished, and I have several middle-class friends who are doing very well in this country. And so I reject the notion that we constantly need to be talking about. I
gotta play it again.
To all be lifted out of poverty. I'm not impoverished, and I have several middle-class friends who are doing very well in this country. And so I reject the notion that we constantly need to be talking about.
This is the smug elitism, right? They talk about the right all the time, Ibrahim, and family that's watching, which we got 270 people watching, 215 or 220 on Twitter. Come on over to the YouTube channel. I say this every video. Y'all come on over to the YouTube channel, fam, and subscribe to the channel. But this person is a smug elitist. And when you see how she attacks Jill Stein and brother Rudolph Bilal Ware in this interview, in this Breakfast Club interview, you get an idea of where it's coming from. While the rest of the American freedmen, and when I say the rest of, I'm speaking of a large majority of us, because I can start pulling up some charts and stuff, but I'm trying to get through the rest of this stream, some graphs and some data sets, are struggling in this country, especially since 2021, after those the surplus COVID relief money ran out, and they couldn't do the child tax credits anymore because they weren't in the budget. They weren't in the budget anymore. And our people were represented 40% of all new evictions starting after that at the end of 21, going into 22 and then 23. 40%, most of them being Black women. So Angela Rye doesn't fit with your plight. She doesn't come from that. She says she has several wealthy friends, and she doesn't come from an impoverished state. That's Kamala Harris. That is the Democratic Party. That is the Republican Party. That's the whole machine that, quote, Chris Cuomo exposed at the DNC convention that day. The machine. But I'm speaking strictly to the people, or about the people that my people vote for. That day is over. Y'all will never be able to rock us back to sleep, fam. Let's get back into this video. Try to get through this thing. Let me see. Is there anything I need to fast forward?
Absolutely. I will not make that mistake again. I'm begging.
I love seeing Black men get jumped by Black women.
I love Black men. I love seeing Black men get jumped by Black women. Like these weak, soft people can't be allowed to speak for us, fam. I'm sorry, man. These people can't be allowed to speak for us. And until we finally get on one accord and make sure that our platforms are moving in unison with each other in the same way that the Democratic machine and the Republican machine moves with each other, we're going to keep getting this. And the only thing we're going to keep doing, those of us that's not on this side of things, is just complaining about it for the sake of content and engagement, as opposed to doing what we say, which is become the power, meaning we become the political candidates, to whereas now we're forced to be at the Breakfast Club. And boy, oh boy, man, I would love this type of smoke. I got to keep it official.
That shot at their chin. And I'm coming for Trump. Like, I've already got my game plan laid out for Trump. You know, Trump thinks he can do nicknames. I already tagged AOC Pelosi, right?
See, Charlemagne wanted to laugh at that, but he had to catch it. So I can't laugh at that joke, AOC Pelosi, because we know that AOC and Pelosi had beef when AOC first came in as a justice or social democrat, socialist or democratic socialist. We know that for a fact. A socialist democrat, democratic socialist, I could be mixing it up, but y'all know what I mean. And then it was said that behind the scenes, AOC kissed the ring. So they're going to get into some AOC, and I'm going to play a little bit of an AOC clip, and I'm going to try to get through the rest of this. I think we're good on time. We got a couple hundred people watching right now. Other people are live streaming as well, about this very subject. So I'm glad to see, right? I'm not in competition like that, whereas I wish we had the 1,000 people over here. No, we all need to be talking about this, but it has to lead us to somewhere outside of just content engagement. The reason why we do this is to help build up our political platform with Be the Power. And just for clarification and transparency, we filed Be the Power as a 527 political action committee months ago. We finally got a response back from the IRS, and the letter says that they need 60 more days to review our application. And now we didn't need to submit anything else, but we have to just wait for word from the IRS. And I tweeted that out. I was like, these Democrats are playing a cold game, because by the time we get it, we won't have enough time to raise money to push brothers like Brother Marcel Dixon and other candidates that we deem serious, people that's talking real stuff, not nonsense that you hear in these Twitter spaces. So let's finish playing this.
The reels have already started with that. So I'm coming for Trump. But the reality is that we have had to get the Democrats out of the way because they're trying to keep us off of ballots. Yes, go ahead.
Question.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
When you talk about AOC, though, and it sounds like you have issues with her, right?
Yeah.
Her whole thing is like, you guys, according to what she's saying, that it doesn't add city council seats, state electeds,
she's
down
wrong.
ballot candidates.
She's wrong. 1,500.
Have you seen the flyer?
1,500 out of how many total?
Yeah, because
Well,
how important? Because you
but
hear for the
her
people.
point
How
was
important is
that
that
we're not growing, we're not running for lower office, and that we disappear except every 4 years we come out for president. Those were her claims, and they are absolutely false and misleading. She should know better because she was actually campaigning for a local Green in 2017. She ought to know better. No, what she talked about was the Working Families Party, but that is not a third party.
See, I love this. They destroyed AOC and they destroyed Angela Rye and whoever this. I don't even know this person. I probably won't. Was it Lawrenson or something like that in the process? Because she's just arguing to argue. At least Angela Rye knows what to argue, right? I can respect that, right? I can respect a good adversary because in boxing or fighting or any form of combat, physical or mental, you respect the fact that your opponent is prepared to go at you. But even in that, she's cooking them, but Jill Stein did get caught up on one point when she didn't know how many House rep seats there were. I was like, oh, that's ugly. You can't be running for president and not know that. But other than that, everything else to me was flawless.
Is a second. What she mentioned was the Working Families Party, her third party. And what that does, that is a second ballot line. It's not a third party. No. It's a second ballot line for the Democrats. And it runs people who are already Democrats or they're independent on their way to becoming Democrats. And the main thing about working families versus true independent, non-corporate political grassroots parties, we are under attack by the Democrats in particular. And that's what, it's the Democrats. It's not the Republicans. Right. It's the Democrats who bragged starting back in March that they now had an army of lawyers to basically exercise lawfare, looking for trivial details where they could do a gotcha and get us thrown off the ballot, violating the spirit of the law to basically eliminate their competition. They have also advertised publicly for infiltrators and spies to mess up our ballot drives. And they also hijacked our public funding, $300,000.
I'm going to stop it there, Ibrahim, right? She just absolutely destroys them on this point. Every argument that they try to bring, Stein and Brother Ware are pushing back against them. They really have nothing. They have nothing. They have nothing other than to try to make them look bad. And we know that this is a Democratic tactic just from watching people like Roland Martin over the years. Our job is to make you look bad. When Roland Martin had the debate with Cenk Uygur, two Democrats, right? Roland Martin it was supposed to be a discussion, but Roland Martin got into sassy mode. And then he started to go at Cenk to the point where now they just going back and forth. Because if you are not in lockstep with the Democratic Party, which the Young Turks seem to be now, I don't know what happened, but it seemed like they're Team Kamala right now. But nevertheless, if you're not in lockstep with the Democratic Party, then we're going to come for you. We're going to come for you. And this is what's happening all over the place. And you heard Jill Stein speak about how the Democratic Party got a team of lawyers together and basically trying to create these gotcha moments against them. And I thought that it was excellent that she led into that based off of the question, why do y'all have smoke for the Democrats? People ask us that question. Why do we have smoke for the Democrats? Those are the people that's attacking us. You fight the person who's in front of you. You don't think about, I may have an opponent that's my enemy, but that opponent is not in the ring with me. I can't put my focus on fighting him. I have to fight the opponent in front of me, and the Democrats are the opponents in front of us all right now who are moving for progress, especially for the American freedmen in this country. You got anything for that, Ibrahim?
No, not right now. This is when the dismantling starts, and they gotta ramp up the negligence.
So thanks for the contribution, Sister Kelly, and shout out to our sister Kelly Matthews, man. You know, we like to say you got BTPUC, that you got BT. This is Ali saying you got BTPUC and BTP you don't see, and we moving, and this sister is definitely putting in work. And shout out to all of our workers all across the country, man. You know, especially up in that New England area. That's got stilettos on the ground and boots on the ground. You know, the family in New York, family in California, family all over the country. Our organization especially is starting to branch out a little bit more. But let me read what she says. I challenge the freedmen to lead the unity quest in the next 4 years. We cannot accomplish anything in a vacuum. If others want to grift and play games, that's their karma. But the freedmen should be leading the charge. Absolutely, Sister Kelly. And this is what I was speaking to yesterday in the Twitter space that I held. You know, for the most part, we've been the most stand-up out of everybody. And I'm not trying to go at nobody. I'm just speaking to us so that, you know, one can count that as my own bias. We didn't never done anything shady. We've never turned on nobody. We've never flipped on nobody. We've been exactly who we are since we came in this space, 100%. So, you know, honors for your contribution and that message of unity. The freedmen must lead this thing moving forward because we believe in our heart of hearts that we have the answers to the things that ail us insofar as how to get reparations to heal us. And we've been breaking that down over the past several years. Again, visit our website, usadof.org. Find the article on reparations. Find the amicus that we submitted to the Supreme Court in December of 2022 for the affirmative action case. Although it wasn't submitted into the case, we know that it was read. And we can tell by reading the concurring opinions of the justices, particularly Justice Clarence Thomas. And, you know, we don't say that to brag or boast. We just say it because that's just what it is. That's just what it is. So let's get back to this thing. So I've skipped it some, Ibrahim, and I don't know which parts you want to touch on because I'm about to skip about 20 minutes. So I don't know if there's anything that's upcoming that you want me to play.
No, just play what you got, and then in the end we'll give a summation. I don't have timestamps, but I do remember this interview because I watched it yesterday.
So you know what I'm gonna do? I want to pause here real quick. And this is what I want to do. This is from a video we did a few years ago on AOC. It was so funny because it was a beef between AOC and Kamala Harris at the time about immigrants in Guatemala. And Kamala Harris pretty much said, yo, stop coming over here, a position that she obviously doesn't hold anymore. And AOC took offense to that, right? This same problematic person took offense to that. And, you know, I thought AOC was cool at first. I liked her fire. You know, you could find some positive tweets from me. I like how she gave it to the Republicans and clapping back and all of that. But I slowly but surely found out she was nothing but a Hispanic version of an Angela Rye, someone with the very, very elitist attitude, you know. So we got somebody, Mr. Phillips, says this wasn't an attack. It was a critique. The Green Party ain't one shit. Hey, we're not here caping for the Green Party, Mr. Phillips. We're here dissecting angry Angela Rye, who's caping for the Democratic Party and attacking anybody that won't be a part of the Borg, assimilating into their, you know, their machine. That's what we're doing. So I don't want you to confuse. I don't want you to be confused about what we're speaking on. But I want to play this from AOC real quick. Let's go here. Sources. When did I do this video?
By the way, those families are owed reparations, period.
Now, what she's taught, let's go back to let's go back, matter of fact. Let's go back to about
mothers and deport. What is happening here is not the same as what happened during the Trump administration, where they took babies out of the arms of their mothers and deported their families and permanently traumatized these children, some of whom we don't know will ever be reunified with their family again, which is a level of human rights violation that is just simply not the same. Both of these things are barbaric and they're wrong. But when you rip a baby out of the hands of a mother, you cannot draw the same comparison. And anyone who is trying to do that is doing a profound disservice to the cause of justice. So I don't want to excuse any of this, but I don't think we should also get them twisted together, because one is not the same. And we cannot dust that under the rug. And by the way, those families are owed reparations.
Oh, whoa, whoa. Now remember, when AOC first gets asked this question, and I should have pulled that up, I wasn't thinking about it. She said, yeah, but what about Latinos and Hispanics? See, when people are against reparations, their answers are going to reveal where they stand. Biden, what about reparations? Yeah, but then we're going to have to look at the Native Americans too. It's always inclusion when it comes to our always. But what she said was that these Spanish people that had these babies ripped out of their arms, well, they deserve reparations, while telling us that we basically don't deserve reparations. And when pressed on the issue of reparations, listen to how she dances and salsas and merengues around the question.
Right. Which is a number that I think shocks a lot of people. But if you include white Hispanics, it actually is that big, who often vote similarly to non-Hispanic whites. What as a political cost, let's say, of saying we're going to throw your hat in with a program like reparations? How much do you think those considerations should be made?
Well, it's a good question. I think that one of the things that we've seen from early polling actually is that I think that we should distance ourselves and start getting away from this idea that we should only care about ourselves. Because when we really do start to
see what she's saying there is that Black people fighting for reparations for themselves should stop caring only about themselves. This is a slick way of trying to include everybody else into our reparations claim, thus weakening it. But prior, we played a clip, which was more recent, of her saying that her people, the Spanish people, should receive reparations. She's a hypocrite. And all right, I can stop it right there. I wanted to play that because I thought that was important.
Yeah.
And that's a video that I did 3 years ago. Ibrahim, go ahead, bro.
No, that was good, because when it came to her people, they deserve reparations. That was an emphatic yes. When it comes to our people, it's, well, we deserve a study, and at the end of the study, we'll see. And if they get anything, you should anchor in other groups. She didn't say those women who had the baby snatched from their arms, they deserve reparations, as well as people who had babies snatched from their arms and was taken out and put into the fields to pick cotton, or that was threw into the lakes and the swamps for alligator chum. But somebody has said something about the Green Party before we got into the AOC thing, about the Green Party not winning anything. They have a website. It's called gpelections.org. And if you go to gpelections.org, they have a tab. It's called Greens in Office. And I'm gonna just read from this tab so people can understand. This isn't a fly-by-night party. This isn't a party that was birthed yesterday or in 2016 when Jill Stein ran and was popular. This is what their Greens in Office says. At least 149 Greens hold elected office in 20 states across the United States as of July 1st, 2024. According to these criteria of who qualifies for inclusion in this list, below includes 130 Greens currently serving in elected office who were elected to those offices. 9 more joined the Green Party after being elected, and another 8 have been appointed to elected office. Last updated was September 13, 2024. Since 1985, Greens have won at least 1,502 races. So, what was that comment again about the Greens haven't won anything? Yeah. This is so important because there's a battle and a war for each policy position, a battle and a war. And part of this is the Green Party pushing these policies, pushing these ideas, trying for it to become more populist. Maybe they can win, right? Maybe you'll see a David and Goliath story, or maybe they can just get some of these policies to be adopted by the larger policies. That's still a win. My thing is, there was a time when people were alive and everybody was fighting to get out of slavery, right? In the 1400s, in the 1500s, in the early 1600s, and you had people that would have said, "Man, we've been generations in slavery. This thing ain't gonna never end." And then you had other people that they kept going with the tradition of trying to get out of slavery. You had individuals who individually ran away. Then you had other individuals who organized groups of people and started small rebellions, and then you had larger rebellions, and this thing kept happening until it culminated to the Civil War. Well, after Reconstruction, we did the same thing when you had black codes, and black codes was nationalized and it turned into Jim Crow, right? A lot of people don't even think about this, but we had so many civil rights leaders that was fighting to end Jim Crow. Medgar Evers died before Jim Crow ended. A lot of people don't even think about this. Malcolm X died before Jim Crow ended. Martin Luther King Jr. sees Jim Crow come to an end, right? These are people that are of the same generation, right? But 2 out of the 3 that I mentioned, they didn't live to see Jim Crow come to an end, but they seen it. They seen it in their heart, they seen it in their mind, and they knew that this thing would soon come to pass. We just have to do our part. It behooves me that so many of us, American freedmen, look down at people who are advocating for issues that we need. And what do I mean by that? This is not in theory, right? This is actually in substantive, that we have people that are dying because we don't have reparation. We have families that's being torn apart because we don't have reparation. We have men that's going to prison because we don't have reparation. We have women that have to do some undignified things because we don't have reparations. Like, our community is bleeding out because we don't have the resources that we need to be able to sustain our communities in a first world country. Me and the brothers and sisters who are a part of this platform and a part of the organization connected to this platform, we see this thing coming to fruition, even if you guys don't see it. That's our job, to educate the public, right? To be part of that critical mass, to educate the public and get this thing moving. I can't do anything but support what Dr. Way and Dr. Stein is up here promoting, because we've been promoting it for years and years and years and years. That's the difference. That's the difference between those on the battlefield and those on the sideline just watching. That's why this interview right here was so important to me. That's why this party, even though I don't, wholeheartedly support them, this party and this platform is still dear to my heart. These people are still dear to my heart because they're advocating for our struggle. This is about self-preservation. This is about charity starts at home. This is the real do for self. This is the do for self political edition, not the Ronald Reagan black capitalist story, right? Not the black excellence story. So I just need people to understand that And don't like that's part of that. And don't get me wrong, because we all grew up in America. We all been educated by the American system, and we all have anti-black biasness. Even me, even Brother Naheem, right? Brother Ali, Brother Josh, right? We all have anti-black bias that's been indoctrinated into us, right? And that's what they're saying. Like when they say like white supremacy, like some of us have more than others, but it's there. You're never going to walk outside in a rainstorm and not get wet. I'm sorry. And that's just how it works. And we're trying to unlearn that and refill it with something that can liberate our people. This is a battle. And we're saying that we see in our hearts that this war is going to get won, even if some of these battles is lost. And that's what this interview is about. This is about the imagination of something better that can happen, a reinvestment in America, a reinvestment in the bottom class, not the middle class or the upper class, a restructuring of this country and what you prioritize. And that's what it's about here. So I would just, tell the brother to go to that website, check it out. Green Party got a website, and they got a lot of good information up there. Once again, it's gpelections.org.
Woo! My brother is straight cooking right now. Fam, we got 315 people watching. Most of y'all are over on Twitter. Come on over to the YouTube platform. Help us build up the channel. Y'all see what we do. And this is kind of spur of the movement. Y'all, those that follow our platform already know when we take our time to dissect this stuff, oh man, we really, really go in. So, make sure y'all share the video out, support the platform. You can support via Cash App, $ Be the Power. You can use the super chat feature. You can also go to our website. Go to our website, bethepower.org. Go to our website, usadof.org. You can support us there. We are in the process of growing something. Like I said, we are baby eagles. We are baby eagles right now, and we're starting to spread our wings. We got our brother Josh on real quick. Josh wants a recap. Josh, it's too much to recap. It's too much.
See what you're supposed to do is you like, for those, we got a bunch more people that just came in, for those people that just come in, let me recap real quick. Hey man, you had to blow up my spot. It's all good. It's all good. I know y'all went in. I just didn't want to go in and then I'm rehashing something that y'all already talked about.
I got you.
No, you're good. We're going segment by segment. We're not at the end. We're at the part now. We're not even at the part where Angela Rye becomes hostile. We're like right before that part. So far, she's just been asking some very difficult, extremely like double-laced questions, and Dr. Wade and Dr. Stein have been catching all of them. Charlemagne and Envy has kind of backed off at this point, and it's just Rosa and Angela Rye, and they about to not listen to what the Queen leader Michelle Obama said about going high. They about to get really low.
You mean Where? You keep saying Wade is brother Where.
It's Where? Okay.
Yeah.
Where.
Brother, how can you mess his name up like that, brother? Apologize to America because you keep messing. That's what they want you to do if you mispronounce
It's
name.
Where, brother?
Where? God dang it. Where? You better say it right next time. All right, so let's play a little bit more of this. And I got a bunch of timestamps, but we're getting we got a lot of people watching right now from Twitter. We got a little handful watching on YouTube. So, we could go through, I guess we could go through the rest of these clips, but I want to get through some of this because I'm going to skip these two because we got Josh on. So I'm going to skip these two and I'm going to go to the Russia part. And then we could get into the hyena behavior that Angela Rye starts to project.
Looked into that smear campaign for 3 years. Actually, I had a detailed investigation by the Senate Intelligence
where
Committee.
that came from, Dr. Stein, given the fact that
let's go back.
Oklahoma, because we didn't have the cash on hand to be able to pay the fee.
I think there's a question in here about Russia.
Is out front, in
I think Charlemagne may have read something.
To respond in a different way to Team Green if we have that kind of popular mandate. And that's why we're trying to
I may have messed it up because I got it in my timestamp as Russia.
Can all agree
yes,
on that.
yes, absolutely.
Yes.
What if because of y'all, he ended up winning and then there is no more democracy for y'all to even have a chance to be a threat in the future?
Yeah. So
Yo,
That
like,
is
did you hear
such
that?
a disingenuous question to ask. That is such a it's so funny because the Democrats act like they uphold democracy.
That's right.
In 2009, Obama had the House and the Senate. In 2021, Joe Biden had the House and the Senate, right? And they didn't get anything done. They waited until they lost one or the other. And in 2009, they would eventually lose both in 2010, right? And then sit back and blame the Republicans. Even if y'all had everything, right? Not only did they have the executive branch, the House and the Senate, and they had majority of the Supreme Court justices, right? Like this whole deal about democracy falling, America doesn't have a democracy. I wish I had this study that was done, but it showed the populist issues that many American voters wanted versus the issues that big money wanted, and the percentage of the time that the parties would adapt who concerns and issues and turn it into policy and get it passed in the legislation. And it wasn't the voters, right? It wasn't like we the people. It was the big money. So this whole idea that we have a democracy, the only critique I have about that, because as I'll say, we have a republic run by a plutocracy, right? It's ran by big money. But my only critique is that if you believe that this is a democracy, the people who are undermining it the most are the Democratic Party. Now you can look to the right with gerrymandering and some other things, which is all within the framework of what would be considered a democracy. But if Ibrahim, if like this idea that they're going to scare voters, what they're saying right here is that basically we need to all get together and vote Democrat, because if Trump wins, this whole project is going to cease to exist, and we're not going to have anything. So it's another scare tactic, and it's not really meant towards Jill Stein. It's meant to the Green Party supporters and the viewership who's watching this debate right now.
All right. Josh. Hold on. Because I gotta stop. Hold on. Boy, oh boy, my brother Josh, man.
Oh, my bad. I thought you could just put it on like another tab or something.
Nah, but go ahead.
No. I mean, the thing you bringing up is key, because
in at the end and
well, my bad. I put another link in there, so you could have shared the just that link. Yeah.
Right.
But
I mean, did you want to talk? Did you want to touch on this though before we get back?
Yeah. The reason why I wanted this to be brought up, and if you go click on that other link and bring the other link up, it'll probably be big enough for everybody to see. But yeah, a lot of times when you hear people,
I don't see the link, bro.
It's the one in there that says Federal Reserve.gov. It's in the comments, not on the StreamYard, not on the
okay.
Not on the other chat. Not bad. I put two of them, but yeah, when people always give you those like doomsday type of scenarios, oh my God, if they get in power, they've been saying that. I mean, this chart right here goes back to 1989. And so let's look at white wealth back in 1989 and look at black wealth. It's, very close to nothing. It's just a red line. You can't even really see that it means anything. And just look at the growth that we didn't experience, you know. So when they say the rising tide lifts all boats, that's a lie. Show me how our tide has risen. And if you could scroll up a little bit on that chart, Naeem, there you go. So you can see the top. You can see that our tide has not been lifted. Our boat has not been lifted with the tide. Our boat looked like it had a hole in it. Now, when I said the top, so we can see the whole green of the chart. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's explain what's going on here, right? This
Yeah.
mountain of green is white wealth. Our wealth is so small.
It's the red one.
I want to use the right word. Negligible, I believe, is the
Yeah.
is that it's in a lime green, which they should have just used a different color. This makes no sense because it is the way it's blended is hard to tell. But you
Yeah, the
can't
red
even
is other, my bad.
see our wealth.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's the crazy part, right? It's like it's almost like it actually how they created this chart. It makes it to where it's they make it to where it's hard to even make a distinction from that and the lime green. It's almost like it's invisible. It's not even there. You're not even really a part of this thing. How was that a thing? How was that a part of? I mean, how was that a reality? So when you're telling me, oh, if he get in office, well, you said that's what y'all said when Reagan was running for office, which is before this chart. That's what you said when Daddy Bush was getting in office. That's what you said when all the other ones were threatening to get in office. That's what we said when W. Bush was in office, Trump hit in office, and all of them, one thing isn't common. Our position relatively stayed the same. Our wealth did not grow. The gap between our wealth and the white wealth greatly widened. Even if you look at like the wealth under Obama, I want to say while Obama was in office, I want to say the wealth gap expanded like 30%. So this doom and gloom, oh, it's not going to be any democracy. Like, and I don't want to say it doesn't matter who gets in office. Maybe it does matter, but you're not going to fearmonger us like doom and gloom because we are acting like one is actually going to drastically improve our material position or our relative position in America. That's not happening. So try something else.
Indeed. Honors brother Philip 4000 for the contribution. And I don't know if I gave a shout out to my brother Judicially Affirmed, our brother out in California, for his contribution to the platform. This is what we do over here, fam. You know, sometimes there's people that may disagree with our assessments, but once you do your research, you come to find out like, oh, these brothers is on point. I said, they on point. And you know, a lot of people over the years have come to that same conclusion. I don't say we get it right all the time, but we strive to get it right every single time. And if we do mess up, you best believe we're going to come right back on this platform and we're going to point out where we messed up and make that correction in real time. We too come out of a semi-academic state, if you will, coming out of different various groups like the Moorish Science Temple of America or the Moorish movement, certain schools of Islam. I was born a 5%er, et cetera, et cetera. And now it seems we're all starting to meet in the middle of politics. Man, you know, it's definitely a great day. The political discourse is happening all over the country, and I'm loving it, man. So let's get back to playing the video. And they're questioning Jill Stein on Russia right now, and I'm trying to get to that part. So let's see if I can.
And it's a good question.
So,
We get asked
yes,
a lot.
I mean, Trump is out front, you know, in interfering with the peaceful transfer of power.
Yeah.
So back in March, they are bragging that they have hired an army of lawyers basically to find faults in our, you know, in our petitions, in our electoral process of getting on the ballot. So we have screenshots of their ads, which they have since taken down, but they actually have ads advertising for people to manage infiltrators and spies into our campaigns. And then they actually did hijack $300,000 in our public funding, which we critically needed for the timing of ballot access. And that's why, for example, we missed Oklahoma, because we didn't have the cash on hand to be able to pay the fee, which
This is the
you know,
Democrats
what
he's talking
Oklahoma
about.
requires.
That's
so yeah,
right.
they are pulling out all the stops, and then they have, I'm sure AOC was being an attack dog there, because she was put up to some ridiculous story which really did not hold water, and I think was really quite embarrassing to her at the end of the day. Before her, it was Jamie Harrison, the head of the DNC, who was trying to smear me about being a Russian agent. Well, that was long put to rest by the Senate Intelligence Committee, which looked into that smear campaign for 3 years. Actually, I had a detailed investigation
But
by
can
the
you
Senate
understand
Intelligence
where
Committee.
that came from, Dr. Stein, given the fact that you were sitting at the head table with
So after she
pause it
gets
real quick.
finished, yeah, that's right. Because after she gets
She's
finished
doing
explaining,
Jill Stein
hold
is
on,
doing
everybody. Look,
what's that movie? A 12 Mile? Is that what it is?
what?
Where him and them says, I already know you're going to talk about this,
Oh,
this, and that.
8 Mile. That's right.
8 Mile. 8 Mile.
But
She's
look,
hitting their
bro,
points.
look. Angela Rye here's the 8 Mile, bro, and she doesn't care. She's like, nah, wait a minute. I'm not going to let you beat up on the talking point that I'm trying to catch you up on after you've already explained that these people tried to run this Russian smear campaign on me anyway. She like, and I came here prepared to fight, and I'm going to keep fighting. I don't care if you answer this. I'm going to still bring it up. This is wild, bro.
Yeah, that's what she's like. No, rewind this. We're gonna still get into the details of it. I know you just explained it, but I need you to explain it to us some more. This is really masterful. I'm already know where y'all going. I'm gonna go there first. And Angela Rye, like, nah, I got this on my topic, so I'm gonna ask the question anyway. So she asked the question. It's kind of long. I don't know if you're gonna play it or not. It's kind of long. It was a dinner that Jill Stein was at, and
No, we're gonna play it. We're gonna, because I think
okay.
it's relevant. Because this is what we've learned in with how the so-called bad Democrats attack us on Twitter. They'll take one piece of something and stretch it into a lie. I was in a Twitter space last night with a bunch of young-minded, immature little goofies, and they was taking bits and pieces of information and stretching it into lies. And just like Jill Stein had to clean them up on here, I had to clean them up last night, right? So for me, this is practice for this type of, or this line of attack that you're going to get from these people, because they're coming. Because when we start making our forays into politics, you best believe these people are going to try to hit us with every play in the book. This is why I've been studying the art of argument for years. But let's hear what Jill Stein response is to Angela Rye's new line of attack that she already answered.
with Vladimir Putin next to Michael Flynn, who was.
Let's go back a little bit.
At a detailed investigation
But
by
can
the
you
Senate
understand
Intelligence
where
Committee.
that came from, Dr. Stein, given the fact that you were sitting at the head table with Vladimir Putin next to Michael Flynn, who was literally
not next to Michael Flynn. Not
at
next
the
to.
same
He
table,
was
the
at
head
the table
with National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, who was found to have
So,
interfered
do you
with
know what-
Russia in the 2016 election. And just months
Do
after
you know what my
announced
message was?
your election.
Do you know what my message was?
What I
then?
understand from what you said is that you weren't able to give that message because there was no one to translate
Well, actually,
that message.
but I was a major speaker at the conference. What you saw was a photo from the dinner afterwards.
Were you
There
at
was
the
a
head
dinner
table
party.
with Vladimir Putin, Dr.
Vladimir Putin came in and sat down for 10 minutes without
At the head
translators.
table with you?
Yeah, well, not with me. On the other side, the only person I could actually talk to, because there was so much noise and music and entertainment going on, the only person I could get a word in edgewise to was the former foreign minister for Germany, Willy Wimmer, who was sitting on my right.
And tell
On
me
my
the
left,
contents of your speech too.
and my speech, made 3 points. My speech made 3 points. One is that we needed an immediate peace offensive in the Middle East, and that Vladimir Putin needed to stop bombing Syria, which he had just begun doing. I told him that he was following in the footsteps of U.S. foreign policy, which was a disaster by way of.
So Angela Rye doesn't stop her here and say, oh, okay, well, I see why you were at the table with Putin. You was telling them about itself. Why don't y'all stop bombing bombing Syria. No, instead, what Angela Rye is trying to do here is continue in the gotcha moment. With the very thing that Jill Stein said the Republican Party was trying to get her on in the first place. I am going to stop sharing for 1 second now because I want to bring this up and
There
we're
was
not going to read it. I just want to
there
put
was
it
a
up
time
so people
in
can see
there.
what happened last week, right? This is what happened. This is what happened last week. Russia backs Kamala Harris. Putin's history of U.S. election endorsements. Do you think that Angela Rye is going to press her friend? Yeah, but Kamala, you know, people are starting to tie you into some type of Russian conspiracy, and Vladimir Putin did back you, Kamala. Kamala. The Putin did back you, Kamala. You see what I'm saying? The game that Angela Rye tried to play. And sometimes you, in the moment, you'll forget about something like this, right? Because this just happened a week ago. But that would be the dope clapback. Well, this is the part of the game that Putin plays as well, is that he will back certain candidates in the U.S. to stir up some controversy. Look at what he did last week with his backing of Kamala Harris. See, Angela Rye didn't bring this up. She didn't say, well, you know, there is a crazy history of Putin doing this, but this is a true story because I seen it when the news broke. True story. Come on, man. My bad, Ibrahim. You were saying something?
No, I was just going to say there was a moment in there. I don't know if you caught it. Somebody muted Angela Rye mic because she just kept talking and kept talking and kept talking. Somebody muted her mic at the very beginning. So they were even trying to send her signals like calm down, you going a little bit too hard. Another thing, it didn't matter what Jill Stein said. Angela Rye is in this segment of the interview. This is an interrogation, and she's saying Jill Stein is guilty by association. She didn't just throw Putin in there. She said, well, Michael Flynn was there and he was guilty. Okay, he was there and he was guilty. What does that have to do with me? There was a lot of people there. Now, it would be different if it was only them three in the room. This is a meeting, right?
With other world leaders, Ibrahim.
With other world leaders, yes. You like. Matter of fact, I'm about to look up this picture just to see how many people was in the picture. Right? Now, if you got them three, they was in the room or they was in the hallway or they all went into the restroom at the same time and they started talking amongst each other like, something's strange there. But that's not what this is. They're at a lunch party or something like that. I'm gonna look this
Some type of party.
photo.
I remember when the story broke a few years back. And she's right. They did that investigation. I remember when the news broke that cleared her from any wrongdoing with Russia. It was BS. But the crazy thing about it was the Democrats that was leading this campaign. And this is what she's expressing. And there's nothing Angela Rye can do about it. There's nothing that she can do about it other than, okay, all else has failed. But there's one thing I know. I know hyena. And so we're going to kind of skip on to the hyena part. That's what I'm going to call it, where, you know, she turns it up. She turns the fire up and it just gets nasty, man. It just really, really gets nasty. And I'm not going to say I had any respect for Angela Rye after that. I seen that statement back in 2020 that I played earlier where she said that she doesn't know any people in poverty. So this idea that we got to lift people up out of poverty is somehow asinine because all of her friends are wealthy. I lost respect for her then. So, you know, there's nothing that she can say that interests me because she's a liar, point blank, period. And these people on the Democratic Party pretend like they have some type of higher moral ground than MAGA, and they don't. If MAGA is bad, then they are just as bad. They're a bunch of liars, and they will gaslight you. They will attack you. They will do anything in there. Look at what they did to Bernie Sanders. I mean, they just clipped that dude nuts, point blank. And after they clip his nuts, he go right back out there talking about vote for. I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring for Hillary. I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring for my old friend Biden. It's like, oh, boy, I can't wait till we start climbing up that ladder. They're gonna see a whole different energy, and that's a fact.
Open. So I'm sorry, the fear mongering ain't gonna work on me.
The only thing that I would say to you is I think it's very dangerous rhetoric to say there are two sides of the same coin. I do think it's important for us to understand.
So this is when he said imperialism. What was it? Imperialism and fascism, I believe it was, were two sides of the same coin. One, if my memory serves me correctly, he's equating to the Democratic Party. The other, he's equating to the Republican Party. Matter of fact, that's exactly what he's doing. And Angela Rye is trying to argue against that. It's very dangerous for you to do that. No, the Democrats are just as much of a fascist, imperialistic party as the Republicans are. They're two wings of the same exact bird. They represent a machine, an oligarchy. This party pretends like it's for the people. This party pretends like it's for our people, and it is not, and it never has been. Even after party realignment, I mean, what did we get? We got the Civil Rights Acts in 64 and 65. We got the community, what was it called? The community, and I think it's called Community Investment Act in 70 or 71.
Community Reinvestment Act.
City was supposed to be. Say that again?
Right. Community Reinvestment Act.
Community Reinvestment Act. Soul City was one of the cities. They wound up building up all these other cities under that act and then stripped all of the funding from Soul City. And then once the Republican president, Ronald Reagan, got in office, he really pulled the plug on it. But that legislation is still there and it's still on the books. And, you know, for those of us that are really invested in this fight for our people, you know, we charging up the defibrillator right now. You know, we hitting on the Reconstruction Amendments and Civil Rights Act of 1866. We've even gone back and did an analyzation of the Civil Rights Act of 1875, which to me is more powerful than the Civil Rights Act of 1866 because of how it penalizes those transgressing racists from back in those days. And I believe that shouldn't have never ended. And we probably have a country where we are truly, truly equal and not having to deal with the same issues generation after generation. The Democratic Party does not care about us. That's a fact.
That's why they tried to get it out the paint.
That's right.
That's why they tried to get that Civil Rights Act of 1875 out the paint. And you don't hear nobody even reference that no more, except for when they're talking about what overturned that with those consolidated cases in 1883.
That's right. And shout out to our brother Ty Friedman in the chat. You know, shout out to everybody that's listening in. We got 350 people watching, mostly on Twitter. Come on over to the YouTube channel, family. Come to the YouTube channel. Just come click like on the video. That's all we need you to do. Come click like on the video. All right, let's finish watching this, and we're gonna watch Angela Rye get into hyena mode.
Us actually, I don't have the privilege.
We disagree.
I understand we do on a lot, but we also agree on a lot. But here's one thing I think we can agree on: either you win or lose this election. There's really no in between. Dr. Stein, in 2002, you ran for governor of Massachusetts and you lost. In 2004, you ran for state representative in Massachusetts and you lost. In 2006, you ran for secretary of the Commonwealth. You also lost. In 2010, you ran for governor again, this time against the first Black governor in Massachusetts, Deval Patrick. You lost. In 2012, you ran against this country's first Black president and you got just less than 0.5% of total votes cast. In 2016, you ran against Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, losing significantly with 1.4 million votes cast for you, but 0 electoral college votes, which I agree with y'all needs to be abolished. But 136 million people voted.
He caught that. Thanks for throwing us something, all this negative stuff you saying, but you agree with us that the electoral college needs to be abolished, you old slick tongue snake, you.
And you lost that election as well. So I want to know what the pathway to victory is for you in 2024. It can't just be.
I'd like to provide a different
not a
Shut your mouth.
Watch
Watch
your
your fucking mouth.
There's
yo.
not a
I want to provide.
and I also
Can I respond, please?
I also
May I respond? May I respond?
bring it
May I
back.
respond?
Go ahead, Angela. Go ahead.
Well, I would like to respond.
Yeah.
This is the framing of the empire and the oligarchy and white supremacy and colonialism, which wants you to feel that resistance is futile. This is about voter blaming and voter shaming.
Let me just no. What you're not going to say is that I'm ever parroting anything at the hands of white supremacy.
But you
this
are.
is something that's very.
She did parrot white supremacy. She did parrot white supremacy, which is what we say goes, and you do what we say. That is the framework of government in the United States of America, based upon the slaveocracy that has been running this country ever since the overthrow of Reconstruction. That is a historical fact, because that's another word that people don't use. You know, we hear terms like corporatocracy, plutocracy, oligarchy, but really what we're witnessing is an extension of the slaveocracy. And all of those other things are built upon that. It's built upon the slaveocracy that if you step out of line, we're going to put you back and we're going to put you in your place. There was no need for Angela Rye to run down how many times this woman lost. Think about the attacks from the Democrats online with our brother Marcel. And when I say Democrats, I mean across the board. But at least he tried. That should never come out of any one of our mouths, knowing what we're up against, knowing that we're up against a machine that Jill Stein and brother Bilal Ware exposes in this interview. The machine. And Angela Rye is saying, no, don't you dare accuse me of parroting white supremacy. Well, that's exactly what you did. But it wasn't just white supremacy. Notice that was the only part that she harped on. She talked about the machine and all of these other names that she had for it. But she was like, no, you ain't going to call me white a parrot for white supremacy. We forget that other stuff. Let me find a way to attack you even more. And then I'm going to cut you off. I'm not going to let you explain anything. And we see this type of behavior. Unfortunately, you know, I've dealt with it in Twitter spaces a lot with these type of people, especially women, and of course, regrettably, black women that just gotta overtalk you and cut you off and keep blabbing, blah, 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 blah. And this is why I don't really be doing the Twitter spaces that much, or why those type of people don't come into our Twitter spaces anymore. And you know, this was sad. This was really, really sad. Yeah. Did y'all want to speak on this before I play the rest?
When somebody wants to fight you, they'll find a reason. And if they can't find a reason, they'll create a reason. Angela Rye had her eye. She had some venom for Jill Stein, and she was just waiting for the right moment where she didn't look like she was attacking her out of nowhere. The comment section proves that everybody's seen what we seen. She brought that resume up to drag Jill Stein. Then at the end, these double questions again, right? Where you come out with this hard framing, then you try to ask a soft question after you done already led the person. If a person isn't coached on this, they'll go for it, because after she already proves you can't win and that you're a loser, this is what the framing was leading you. Then she'll add, you know, like, what's the pathway to victory? No, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about how the pathway to victory is being able to overcome the barriers that's created by you and your party. You and the party of anti-American freedom and progress. But I'll add this to it, you know, and this is just a couple of examples, but there's many more. We've seen the questioning from the Black woman panel at the NABJ against Trump, and how they was poking a bear, and then when he said something, everybody acted triggered. We've seen the questioning for the Revolt Post debate with Figaro, you know, how she kind of tried to control everybody and talk over everybody and use that democratic authority that they give Black women
over men and other groups of people who are not in line with democratic values to kind of talk down to you like they're your mother. And then here you see it again. We are at a time where they're saying we need to elect the first quote unquote black woman president to the highest office in America. Is this how she's going to behave when other world leaders have a disagreement with her? Is this how she's going to behave when she tries to reach across the aisle and get things done with the Republican Party? Is this how she's going to behave when she shows up and takes questioning from the news media? Because in essence, you know, this is, and I'm gonna just be honest with you, this is what Trump does. And this is why everybody says you can't get along with Trump, right? He refuses to play nice. He refuses to play by the rules. He refuses to be professional. But then we get this same behavior by black women that say, if you elect not only a woman, but a woman of color, we're going to make everything better because somehow, even though we pro-abortions, we give life and we nurture. This isn't feminine energy. This isn't nurturing. This isn't caring. This isn't loving. This isn't somebody that's interested in what you have to say. This is somebody who's trying to lead you down a pathway of destruction. And then once they get there, they want to just give you just a little tap so you can commit suicide, right? And say, oh, they did it on their own. No, you brought me here. So I like the fact that Jill Stein, she understood what the assignment was and she put it right back at her. Angela Rye is the one that's getting belligerent at this point. A lot of the times through the interview when Jill Stein couldn't talk, she would just be quiet. She'd be like, well, can I say something? Okay, I'll just wait, right? Angela Rye has to get her point across, right? Just like in the other examples that I gave you, these black women have to give their point across. They don't teach you this in communications one-on-one, right? And that's a freshman level course. These ladies are supposed to have higher educational degrees, but still when it comes to like these contentions or disagreeable moments in just what's supposed to be a conversation, an interview, you see them behave like petulant children.
Indeed. Josh, you wanted to add anything to that?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, you know, people can, like Angela Rye, can try to deny that they're pushing white supremacy. But I mean, I'm always going to go back to the numbers. That's how I interpret things a lot of times, because I need to be backed by data, not just people jaw jacking. And if you're talking about maintaining status quo where you're okay with moving forward with somebody who openly says, I'm not doing a damn thing for you, then you are pushing white supremacy because you're trying to maintain that hierarchy. You're not trying to do anything to disrupt that hierarchy. I don't care how you dress it up. That it is what it is. You are pushing white supremacy into maintaining the white supremacy. If you're not talking about because the white supremacy is predicated on black inferiority and us being at the bottom, the freedmen being at the bottom, specifically the freedmen at the bottom. So if we're going to be at the bottom of all metrics of well-being, and you're okay with pushing, not only like maintaining that, but actually putting us to the point of no return with the the philosophy of being replacer, then I don't understand how you're doing anything other than white supremacy, unless you're talking about I want other brown supremacy or something to overtake white supremacy. I don't know, but whatever it is, yeah, you want light supremacy to overtake white supremacy, and you think you got a better shot with that? I'd say good luck. I'm not buying none of that. All I'm saying is we're self-interested, and we're more concerned about our best interests of our group rather than a damn party. So Angela Rye, I mean, people showing themselves to be an enemy. And my problem is that too many of our folks are still they're slow to catch up. And it's like how long are we gonna take to catch up before it's too late and we're finished? I don't know. We gotta move faster. And I say the fights that we need to have with our people, the ones that's slow and don't really understand what's going on, they paying attention to other things in life, and then just when the billions of dollars that these campaigns are pumping finally reaches and trickles down to reaching the attention of the people as intended, now they're engaged, but they're too far behind. So we got to catch them up, and then we're fighting against, those billions. So, but even though that's the case, we still need to quicken the pace of having them fights, because we got to catch up, and we got to get our people caught up. I mean, otherwise we're not gonna have enough energy for this fight, and we're gonna just be finished. I hate to keep saying we're gonna be finished, but it's a reality. It's a reality. But I don't want to prolong the point. Go ahead and continue, brother.
Very different. This is me asking you again. It's a binary
I'm
choice
just
in an
pointing
election.
out that these
it is
are
either
the
a
talking
win
points.
or a lie. No,
These
it's not
are
a
the
talking
same
point.
talking points
no.
that the
I didn't get my
DNC
talking.
uses.
This is not DNC talking points. This is my research, and sadly for you, the research says you have never won an election. You have been successful in pushing forward certain agendas. As an advocate, but you have never won an election as a candidate. Is that a winning strategy?
So, in order to win, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And in this case, it's many steps. Let me point
Did you
out.
see it? Did you see her talking, but the mic not working?
No. They must have unmuted her because they let her go. And, I thought this was disrespectful, right? When Jill Stein says, that old cliche, the start of a journey begins with the first step. And this chick
That's very different. This is me asking you again. It's a binary
I'm
choice
just
in an
pointing
election.
out that these
it is
are
either
the
a
talking
win
points.
or a lie. No, it's
These
not
are
a
the
talking
same
point.
talking points
no.
that the
I didn't get my
DNC
talking.
uses.
This is not DNC talking points. This is my research, and sadly for you, the research says you have never won an election. You have been successful in pushing forward certain agendas. As an advocate, but you have never won an election as a candidate. Is that a winning strategy?
So, in order to win, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And in this case, it's many steps. Let me point out. Let me point out, please.
That was horrible. That was absolutely horrible. And because of such, I'm no Trump supporter, and I want to make it clear. I just want Kamala and the Democratic Party to lose. And I'm going to celebrate right here on Be the Power when it happens. We're going to light up a victory cigar and drink us some Freeman whiskey on the channel. For those of us that may partake every once in a blue. We got a lot of Muslims or those that lean Islam on this channel. But I might
Astaghfirullah.
your little Uncle Mirrors. Huh?
I said astaghfirullah. that better be Welch's.
Hey, the crazy thing about all this to me,
ain't that color, brother.
the crazy thing about this. Yeah, shout out to Friedman business, Uncle Nearest, Fawn Weaver. But yeah, the crazy thing about this is if you look at many people in this part of the Democratic Party, and you look at some of their platforms. I'm not just talking about Kamala Harris. I'm talking about various people in Congress. Their platforms may echo and lean towards some of the platform of Jill Stein. They share a lot of ideals that are very close, right? But then if you see that, you would be surprised that Senator Angela Rye has so much venom for Jill Stein. Why is it that she has so much venom when you look at the policy proposal and she has more of a liberal policy agenda?
That's right. Wait, Josh, because she stressed that. If you really, and I listened to it twice, she and Brother Bilal Ware stressed that. And what they're saying is like, oh man, that it's a quote in the Bible where Jesus is saying, basically, I am here carrying on the laws of Moses and Abraham. How can you, speaking to the Pharisees, which is what Angela Rye represents in this moment, and I know I'm kind of butchering the quote. It's been a while since I looked at the stuff.
No, you preaching. Go ahead.
Be for me? Be against me, and I come in the same vein as Moses and Abraham, the people that you say that you revere. This is hypocrisy. This is hypocrisy. Boy, man, this interview, I bet if they could take this one back, they would. If they could take, because everybody's talking about it. I look on Twitter right now. There is discussions going on right now. Somebody got 1,000 people on their live stream watching it, and we got 300. Let me see what we got on our live stream right now. We have 314. Somebody got 1.5, and we got 314 plus. So I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying that they killed them with this.
It's about like, there's not too many candidates that the Democrats will bring on their platform that their audience won't agree with, right? Whatever narrative that the host is saying at the time, because they're left leaning. Their audience is left leaning, and they support the left. They brought Kamala Harris up, or it's like, this is crazy, Kamala, right? It's like we all have been indoctrinated to try to pronounce her name as best as possible. But they brought Kamala up when she was still a senator from California, and they told her, if you run, we will throw a fundraiser for you, and we will pretty much get you a whole bunch of money. So they was encouraging her to run from the very beginning. And every time that they gave her a little bit of pushback, they pretty much got a discipline from the DNC. Now you see they all on board, because every time it get close to the general elections, they get all on board, just like everybody got on board with Joe Biden. Even Dr. Cornel West, I mean, I just got to be honest and say that, who was originally, and I know somebody put this in the chat, originally running for the Green Party candidate for this election before he dropped and switched to independent. And then that's what forced Jill Stein to run again. Jill Stein didn't run in 2020, and she explains this to Angela Rye. Anyway, so Angela Rye tries to walk her down with all of her losses, right? You lost here, you lost here, you lost here, you lost here. Yeah, but look at the issues that I'm pushing. The issues I'm pushing is the issues that many people in America want. And the people we are trying to get engaged in the political process comes from that 1/3 of people who normally don't vote. We're trying to create, a voter base out of people who have voter apathy, or just have been disengaged so much they just don't get involved in the process or don't know what's going on, right? And Angela Rye is pushing back against that, because, like Angela Rye said, I'm good. I'm all right. And my friends is all right. We went to elite schools. We was part of the Links. We was part of Jack and Jill. We did, I think it's called debutantes or debutantes or something like that. I don't know. I'm from the ghetto, right? What'd you say, Josh?
No,
but yeah, so like we didn't go to balls, and these are exclusive organizations too. You have to fill out an application and be accepted in. You don't just get in, right? And these are the same organizations that you'll see that runs the Urban League, that runs the NAACP, that runs like the Indiana Black Expo when it was at its height. You got to fill out an application, and they'll deny you. Nah, we ain't letting you in. Your grandfather, he was a laborer. He didn't have a college education, or, you okay, but nah, you not our kind of people. So the point being made is that like what she said could have been exactly true. But if you was working for the CBC, then you wasn't doing your job, because you wasn't doing community outreach. You was just hovering around the people that came up in your circles and the people that was on Capitol Hill. Because if you went out into them communities of the DMV, to the communities of DC, you would have seen that our people, the people that you say you fought for, the people you said your father fought for, and I'm talking about Angela Rye, is struggling. We would never make that claim, right? Even before you knew the data, you would never make that claim that me and my people is doing well, unless you came from a insulated circle and you didn't understand what was going on in reality. And it's funny because here you have a white woman with policies that's beneficial to your community, the community say you advocate for and fight for, and you're pushing back for the establishment. So at this time, you are a white supremacist collaborator.
That's
You
right.
are a white supremacist in blackface. And that's the point that we're reaching to Kamala Harris. This is the lesson that many of us learned. Some of us still didn't learn during the Obama administration. It doesn't matter what your skin color is.
You said Kamala Harris? Kamala. Kamala.
They shooting. Hey, look.
But it doesn't matter what your skin color is, and that's the point. I like where this thing is moving. Right? What do your policies do for the most vulnerable, and where do you stand on reparations?
That's right. Let's get through try to get through the rest of this hyena babble and close this thing out with some.
You need to compare the Green Party, not with those who are taking money from AIPAC and the War Machine and Wall Street. You've got to compare us. Excuse me. You have to compare us to other grassroots, non-corporate.
She told me I'm a white supremacist.
We need.
She said I was parroting that.
Envy says she didn't call you a white supremacist. She didn't call her that. We've been accused of parroting the Heritage Club, and we've been called parroting right-wing white supremacy talking points because we interviewed Roy Beck because he wrote a book called Back of the Hiring Line, which where is all my books at, man? He wrote a book called Back of the Hiring Line that exposes the fact that immigration is hurting our people. Like she really slick killed Angela Rye on this, man, and it's reflective in the comment section. One of the things that Brother Bilal Ware did was take a screen record of all the different comments. I thought that was
voice of a white supremacist.
See, that was my disappointment.
May I finish,
earlier.
please?
Like
may I get to my point? May I please get to my
Dr. Stein and Angela Rye close it up.
Let me finish, please. Thank you. You're trying to compare us to the Democratic Party and the Republican Party with their billions of dollars, or to the Working Families Party, which is not under attack. As a people-powered party, not taking money from Wall Street or the War Machine or AIPAC, we are on very different turf. But if you compare us to all other similar parties, which are not taking corporate money, which are not bought and paid for, which can stand up against endless war, against homelessness, against the climate crisis, against the housing and the healthcare crisis. Campaigns like us, who can actually stand up for the people, they last exactly 1 to 2 election cycles, and then they're gone. So we are actually the pillar of strength among people-powered politics. And what have we done? Over that period, we have established the Green Party as the vehicle for people-powered politics. We have also launched the agenda, which has been adopted by the progressive Democrats, given lip service, not actually advanced, but whether you're looking at healthcare as a human right.
Yo, if you ever seen that movie, man, what's that movie with Angelina Jolie and what's the name of that movie? What is the name of that movie?
You talking about
with the gunplay?
Yeah, I know you're talking about they slow down the time.
So
Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
No, not that one. Not that one.
It's the one where they move in slow motion and all that.
That's right.
Where they throwing bullets around the corner?
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. That's right. They bending the bullets. So there's a scene where Angelina Jolie shoots the bullet and it circles and it hits everybody that's in that circle. And this is what Jill Stein did here there's a lot of movie analogies tonight, y'all. This is what Jill Stein does here. She shoots the bullet. The difference is she steps back, right? So that it doesn't hit her. She killed AOC and the so-called progressive Democrats or the Democratic Socialists who are all on the Kamala train right now. Go look at TYT. That's why you starting to see Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian falling out for the first time. I've never seen them. Disagreements happen, but they like having fallouts on or during their segments. And I'm wondering if it has to do with how much they're leaning into Kamala Harris after years of going against the establishment Democrats. Now it seems like there's this buy-in. She's killing the Democratic Party. They killed the Republican Party on some, well, you know, this is how we feel about Trump. He's a rapist or a convicted felon or whatever the hell they said. Like, we not leaving nobody untouched. And you about to catch this shot when it come back around, Angela. Angela Rye, when I give this rebuttal, but I ain't gonna lie, she caught her with the fact that she didn't know how many House rep seats there was. Angela Rye hit her with that. And that's something you got to know when you're running for president.
Right, launched by Ralph Nader as a national issue. Reparations, launched by our campaign as a national issue in 2012. If you look at free public higher education, bailing out students and ending student debt. You had Congress bailing out the crooks on Wall Street who crashed the economy, but not bailing out homeowners, not bailing out students. That agenda was launched by us. So I think it's not fair, and it is the talking point of AOC the other day, who is taking her marching orders from the DNC. This is exactly what they say, that we are only running for president.
Of color as parroting talking points instead of us looking at basic math. The one
Women
thing
of
that
color.
AOC
Like, what does that have to do with it? If you're parroting talking points, you're parroting talking points. I don't care if you're a woman of color. I don't care if you're pale as a ghost or white as a sheet. If you're parroting talking points, which is exactly what Angela Rye did this whole time. She didn't just parrot talking points. She came with a recognizable line of attack, one that Stein had already been through. One that we've been through, just being in the reparation space, something that Angela Rye doesn't care about because she doesn't see poverty, because she and her friends don't come from poverty. Her and her
She's
friends
lying.
are
She's lying. Either she cuts her friends off when they become unemployed or lose their job, or she's just a flat out liar. I don't believe you can be black in America and not. Tiffany Cross is poor right now. You don't know Tiffany Cross? She lost her job. Ask her. Let's see how well she's doing. But I'll say this. What what Dr. Stein is pointing out is these American freedmen, sometimes black American Trojan horses in our community. And that's what she's pointing out. And that's what Angela Rye caught that, right? With like that bullet went around and hit everybody in the room, but it was directed for her. And she caught that, right? I'm a Trojan horse because it doesn't matter. See, my strategy is Kamala Harris' strategy. We're on the same page. Kamala Harris is running around with the black girl and the black girl accent and all this stuff. But when you look at her policy, and I'm going to exclude us for now, where's her policy for the black women, right? Abortion is not health care. Abortion doesn't do anything about fibroids and thyroids and diabetes, right? And it doesn't do anything about all of the black women who are underinsured or don't have insurance. Where is her health care plan for the black women she says she advocate for? See, when you get down to policy, if that ABC debate was about policy and they asked some tough questions and they asked those questions, she would have been looking like a deer in headlights because she has none. Now, let's go over to the right side of the aisle. Does Trump have any? No, he don't have none. And they asked it, and they got him on that point. When they asked him about repealing Obamacare and what he would replace it with, he said, I don't have a plan. Then they followed back up and made him say, well, I don't have a plan. I'm not president right now, but if I have president, I'll do something. I have some ideas. That's what he said.
I got concepts of a plan.
I got concepts of a plan, but they never came back to Kamala. What Jill Steinem is doing is laying their agenda on the line and say which one of these agendas are best for the people. And Angela Rye is saying that agenda don't matter because it's not going to get passed anyway. What we may do, now she makes herself part of the Democratic regime. What we may do is adopt some. One thing that comes to mind is Dr. Carter G. Woodson book when he talks about education versus indoctrination. And he talks about I think one of his quotes was that Harvard destroyed more minds than whiskey. And then he talks about people going off to school thinking they getting educated, but end up becoming indoctrinated. And what they learned at school wasn't a benefit to the communities they came from. It was a benefit to the status quo and maintaining and keeping that status quo. That's what you see going on with Angela Rye right now. So she's catching these bullets and she's mad. You seen that she slammed her laptop down? She folded her arm and it's like, well, let's go ahead and end this interview, right? I think they felt it, but I don't think they know how bad the repercussions was going to be from this. That whole comment section is lit. I didn't see not one person, it may be, but I didn't see not one comment that said Angela Rye and La Rosa was giving them the business. I didn't see not one. Did y'all?
No. No. Not at all. All right, let's finish. The hyena.
He has done that you haven't is win some elections. And so when I'm asking you
Well,
if
what
you've
I'm
won
trying
any
to say-
elections, that is one point. If you want to tell me that
Let's
you want
talk
to push
about-
a more
good
progressive
question.
agenda,
Let's
if
talk
you
about
want to talk about pushing a
1,500
progressive agenda,
elections.
you can do that, not by running necessarily for
As
president. Your
Frederick
track
Douglass
record
said,
as a state rep
power
candidate,
concedes
as a
nothing.
secretary of the Commonwealth candidate, as a gubernatorial candidate, as a presidential
I hear
candidate are
this.
woefully lacking.
I hear
so I'm
this,
asking that you
unfortunately,
consider going
as
about it
the
a different way
blaming-
instead of telling me I'm parroting white supremacist talking points.
So I can tell
Perhaps you'd
you-
hear the facts.
I
These
can
are
tell
the
you-
facts. The numbers are not on your side,
So
right?
Dr. Jill Stein, let's
Oh,
end with some
absolutely.
closing remarks.
Yes.
On your campaign, and then the Honorable Angela Rye, you can end with your
I'm
closing
done.
remarks.
I've
Okay,
asked my
let's-
questions.
Okay, so as Frederick Douglass said, power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has and it never will. Like so many other Greens, I came from the world of social activism. I spent decades upon decades fighting for healthcare as a human right, for racially just.
See, what she should have did was turn that back on Angela Rye and said, what have you done specifically that you can point to that that's measurable, right? In helping Black people, for instance. What is it? Where can we find that tangible thing at? Because this is what I'm doing, and I'm not gonna stop doing it because I come from a world of social activism. Where do you come from? See, I know Angela Rye's backstory, and I would have brought up that fact that she said that she doesn't know poverty, that she doesn't know anybody in poverty because her and her people are doing good. And so basically we need to stop talking about poverty. And then I would have just started running through some numbers. It's just as simple as that, man. This was disgusting.
Redistricting, which we actually succeeded in, for getting big money out of politics and creating a public financing system, which we actually succeeded in Massachusetts until the Democratic legislature came in and invalidated the people's referendum, which had won by a 2-to-1 margin. They invalidated it on a voice vote and refused to provide the funding for it. I saw our movements being beaten back by the power, the political power of corporations and billionaires operating through the Democratic and Republican parties. I saw that over and over again. We are not making incremental progress forward. We're actually taking rather major steps backwards right now. You know,
I gotta pause it right there again. What Jill Stein is laying out as a pattern. They didn't just do it to her, they did it to Bernie Sanders. Why do you think Bernie Sanders didn't win the last 2 presidential? He couldn't even get on the ballot on this one, right? You talk about ending democracy as we know it. We've never seen where a party told the other parties you can't run against the incumbent. The Democratic Party just did that. They just did that. The 2016 election and the 2020 election, we watched what they did to Bernie Sanders. They pretty much, they neutered him. They clipped his nuts. Like, let's just be honest. So this thing that Angela Rye is talking about, she's trying to pretend as if the machine is not getting in the way of Jill Stein winning. The problem is, like Cat Williams said in that Club Shay Shay interview, the year of 2024 is going to be the year people get exposed at the top. And what we've witnessed with this interview was them get exposed. They are running with that one clip where Jill Stein didn't know how many House rep seats there was. Yes, I'm going to say that's something that you're supposed to know. but we're going to ignore the 99 other points that she made that actually bodied every point that they tried to counter her with. Like, this is craziness, fam. And that's the Democratic Party. And this was like the cherry on top of the sundae of this political season, in my opinion. But I don't want to call it the cherry. This was the sprinkles. The cherry is going to come in November when Kamala loses.
Disparities, racial disparities, black and white disparities are actually not better at all than they were in 1960, in spite of all the, hard work and the lip service that's been given to racial justice and racial equality. In Boston, in the Massachusetts area, the average household wealth of the African-American family is $8. Considering debt.
That's right.
The average wealth of the
Boston.
Caucasian family is $250,000. And this is not unusual. This is where we are. We are stuck. If you looked at the footage from the floor of the DNC, what you could see were the corporate suites, which started at $500,000 each and went up to $5 million. This is the money running the DNC, running the Republican National Committee as well. These parties have been bought and paid for. They really do not have wiggle room. We're not going to fix this around the margins. We need to stand up and build a coalition. This was my experience as an organizer, a successful organizer on these many issues that I just ran through. How did we do that? You do it by building coalitions. But if your coalitions are only there for the moment, you can get the bill passed like we did with public funding of elections, but they're going to tear it down. Then you need your coalition to remain in power and to remain effective so that you're fighting to maintain your victories. So what I see us having done since I first was tricked into running for office in 2000, running for governor, I was tricked into running for office because I saw we were failing over and over and over again on our aspirations for racial justice, to fight white supremacy, to fight police violence, which also is getting worse year by year, to fight for healthcare. The health disparities between African-American and white population is about 3 years. 3 years of life taken away from African Americans, and that's before you add in the disparities in education. If you factor in education disparities as well, that 3 years grows to 10 years, a decade taken off the lives of most African Americans. To me, this was just unacceptable. I could not sit there and take it over and over again, especially after the Democrats reversed our achievements to get at the core problem, which is the corruption of money in politics. We solved that, and they basically tore that solution to shreds. I could not stand there. That's when I got recruited to run for office, because I began to realize this is about building coalitions. That doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of education. It takes a lot of work. And so I ran in that first race for governor, challenging actually Mitt Romney, who was running for governor on the Republican ticket. And you know what? We had to fight our way to get into a televised debate, but we did succeed because the turnout was huge in the rallies that were demanding to open up the debates. And that debate was opened up on one occasion. And that debate took place in a TV studio. There was no live audience to read. Mm-hmm. So it was just, speaking to the other people in the room, small number of people, the guy behind the camera and so on. And the Green Party's proposals, which we've run through several times, went over like a lead balloon inside of that TV studio. And I walked out of there thinking, oh, well, at least I tried. But when I walked out, I was mobbed by the press, who told me that I had won the instant online viewer poll, which we didn't even know was going on. And to me, that was like a revelation that, oh my God, people actually agree with us. We don't need to change people's minds. People's minds have been changed by the desperate state of our economy, by, the incredible injustices, by the police state that we're living in, et cetera. And it wasn't nearly as bad back then in the year 2002. So we, at that point, it's like a curtain went up for me. And I saw, oh my God, this is not a matter of having to change people's minds. People are already there. It's just that people are denied knowing that there are options that actually empower us.
So what's your website for people who want that out?
Thank you. It is JillStein2024.com. And yes, check us out, because this election is full of, what shall we say, 180s and unexpected developments. And we, the people, deserve to be heard. We are demanding to be heard. And we potentially have the power. If only the vote to stop genocide stood up to say, I will not hold my vote, my nose and vote for genocide, that vote, or the 87 million people who do not have adequate health care, or the 50% of renters who are struggling, who are just 1 or 2 paychecks away from being evicted and being out in the street. If those people stand up to vote for what we actually can have right now, this election will be turned on its head.
You muted, Naheem.
My bad. I love the energy of this interview. And, we gave it, I think, as thorough of a breakdown as we could tonight. We did this on short notice. This is something that we would usually kind of flesh out over a few days and get our talking points together, et cetera, et cetera. But, shout out to my team, man. My Be the Power. We are a group of sharp brothers, and we could do some things on the whim if we need to. You know what I mean? We could we could pull up some videos and give some breakdowns on the spot if we have to. And that's what we did here tonight. So, I want to turn it over to the bros and let them give some more analysis. Let's start with Josh real quick, Ibrahim. And yeah, go ahead, Ibrahim. Go ahead, Josh, and then we're gonna come back to you, and then we start winding it down. We'll give a little bit more analysis. We on here. I knew it was gonna be a few hours of us giving some breakdowns. The video is an hour long, and we didn't get through the whole hour, but we were able to get through some of what I felt were more significant points. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, I loved it. It was interesting to see, like I mentioned before, how they would go so hard and have the energy that's even stronger than you would see towards like a Donald Trump or something. And it's like when you got people who are very polite, they're almost like very courteous and grateful to be on the platform, and you just keep taking like low jabs at, for what it was uncalled for. And they were trying to find common ground and all that kind of stuff. Nah, she just wanted to play dirty, and that was good to see, because a lot of times Democrats are trying to play like they're taking the high moral road and all that kind of stuff. When you get them on the platform, and they get to talking on the different issues, but then clearly you could see that she was the unnecessary aggressor and trying to find ways and reasons to tear them down. Not so much asking vetting questions, but trying to expose them or to defame them. And so that was interesting to see. What I will say though is I don't know, and Brother Naheem and Ibrahim, y'all can chime in on this. This is not a BTP USADOF endorsement of the Green Party per se. It's more so just giving an analysis on this particular discussion. I know, we looked at their platform, I want to say a couple weeks ago, a little bit more in depth, when Dr. Rudolph Delaware was announced as the VP candidate for the Green Party. And it's interesting when you read this website and you go through their agenda and you have reparations. That's one of the first things there. And then you have to scroll way down, and then you see, I was like, let me look at the immigration part. And I'm like, nah. Well, that was just kind of my sentiment there. So, again, this is not an endorsement of that party, but I do want to give them credit, and I want to big them up for, providing the pushback that's needed, moving the conversation forward that's needed, having an agenda that makes sense in a lot of ways. It's just, a few things that I'm not rocking with, but compared to the other two choices, she's right. I was not going to hold my nose and do any of those. So I'm still one of those that's in the undecided column, and then we got some brothers up here. I don't know if they still undecided or if they decided a while ago, but yeah, I'm still in the undecided column. But one of the things I know I've decided is I'm not gonna hold my nose and vote for Democrats. So we'll see how this thing goes. But I'm happy to that they actually had that discussion on there because it told us a lot.
Indeed. Go ahead, Brother Ibrahim.
Yeah, I've decided I'm definitely not voting blue no matter what. Not this election. We could double back around maybe in the local election or maybe in 2028 if they get their stuff together, which I doubt it. I'll say this. We did the debate, not even a recap, right? We did a live discussion during the debate and kind of summed it up at the end. But one of the points I made during the end was how unserious Kamala Harris' agenda was on her page. We've known for almost 2 months the only thing she had on there was a Ibrahim was a donate button, and then Monday before the election, Tuesday, she put up her agenda, and I read through the agenda, and it was so broad and ambiguous, and it was all of the talking points that she had been talking on the rally and at the DNC convention, and I even showed you more of it to say this is an unserious person. She had Trump's agenda 2025. If you go to Kamala Harris page and you just look at her agenda and look at the time she put into this agenda. This is a woman who's raised over $500 million. And look at the time she put into this agenda, right? And when you go to Jill Stein page, and they don't take big dollars, right? They take small contributions. That's one of the reasons why they aren't able to get like their positions out in media. They just don't have the money to do it. But if you go to JillStein2024.com and look at her platform, what you'll see is this is a person who put some effort into this. And it doesn't just say like what we'll do in these broad strokes. She goes into detail on some of this stuff and what she wants to do and what she wants to get done. And you can also understand why so many of the Green Party's agendas and policies have got adopted by the Democratic Party, right? These are the people who think about community needs and the needs of our people. Like, I think that was Josh just said that, this is not an endorsement of the Green Party. Well, I would say this: the Green Party has endorsed some of the issues that we uphold, right? This is not an endorsement of the Green Party. The Green Party has endorsed some positions that are dire to the American freedmen community. So we do align at, some point. And this is what politics is supposed to be about, which means that the Green Party has been active in listening to the people. They have been active being amongst the people and seeing what the people need. This isn't politics from a high up position. This isn't politics from the mountaintop. This is politics from the bottom. This is what America has to get back to. This is what America has to get back to. So it doesn't matter the packaging that the person comes in. You know what's so funny? A lot of people are 2020, and what I mean by a lot of people, I mean a lot of black talking heads, well-to-do figures said, I'm just going to hold my nose and vote for Joe Biden. I heard Maxine Waters say this. I heard Cornel West say this. I also heard Dr. Carr say this. Matter of fact, Dr. Carr said, I'm not voting. And Charlamagne the Guy, he said, I'm not voting for Joe Biden. I'm voting for my sister, Kamala Harris. Well, what do you do now when your sister, Kamala Harris, is the front runner for the party, but carries the same agenda? Is she still your sister? Because now she has the support of the party. Is she connected to you still? Is she still connected to the people? When do we throw our own people up under the bus if you're not doing something right? There's a Islamic saying, the Islamic hadith, that says, we're not supposed to slander and backbite one another, but if the person is in a position of power, you have all the right to talk against that person and say what that person is not doing. So when we critique Kamala Harris, we're critiquing her not only on her resume, on the Harris Biden resume and her resume as a DA and the resume as an AG, but even what her policy is. So I would just implore people, hey, go look at JillStein2024.com. This is serious. Go look at Trump Agenda 47, very unserious, and go look at Kamala Harris Economics of Joy, the most unserious agenda out of all of the candidates running right now, and you'll get a good laugh.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Ali said I need to work on my bomb sound, so I might mess with that tomorrow. We're gonna be taking calls on the platform soon. We're just trying to figure out exactly which way we need to do that. So, we'll be putting up a phone number soon for everybody to call, and we have some live interaction with the family. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Twitter. Many of you are watching this Twitter channel, 422 people. So that's 370 people who are watching on Twitter. Make sure y'all give me a follow. And let's build. Let's build this thing out. As you can see, our analysis are pretty spot on, and we have something to say. We have something to say, and we're gonna say what we need to say. We're gonna definitely say what we need to say. So, we've been on here for a few hours. We've given up what I believe is a good breakdown, especially through the lens of Friedman, to this interview that is going viral, and clips is going viral, and they've messed up. I believe the Breakfast Club messed up. I think it was Ibrahim said earlier when we were all talking that all of them right wingers they had on there, they've had Vivek Ramaswamy, whom I call the brown bigot. They've had the coon and sellout, what's his name, Larry Elder. All of these Republicans that you've had on there, you've never, ever given them the type of smoke that you've given to Jill Stein and Brother Bilal Ware. So it was really, really interesting to hear and watch this display, that what I said earlier is right and exact, that white supremacy is two wings of the same bird. And Angela Rye, you do represent that other wing of that bird. And we know because they didn't call you for Larry Elder. They didn't call you for Vivek Ramaswamy. They didn't. They didn't call you to provide pushback to some of these people and do what you did there tonight. And the sister that they had on there, they got rid of her because they felt well, at least this is my theory, because she was doing too much of what Angela Rye did, but Angela Rye was actually being disrespectful. Well, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This look like 6, 7 steps. This corny hyena nonsense that needs to be eradicated from our politics. It has no place. It has no place.
Hey, bro, why you say hyena?
That's because that's what I call it. The hyena vibe. The hyena is the matriarch out of the pride, and they come with that energy. It's like we're gonna rule the lions too. And that's we seen that in that interview with them really trying to, especially that other sister that I'd never even heard of before, that felt like she was going to shut down the Brother Bilal Ware on any point that she didn't like. Man, whew. But we'll have our time where we get our interviews. We will. We coming with that big lion energy. You know what I mean? Lions defeat the hyena. So I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So yeah, man. Anything else y'all want to add before we get up out of here?
Hey, didn't you know somebody that um had an inside track for us to get on the Breakfast Club?
Nah, it wasn't. It
Oh,
wasn't nothing like that. It wasn't nothing
oh,
like that. It was just being cool with certain individuals that you meet in the space. I don't want to name drop or nothing like that. So
yeah.
I think the way to get on the Breakfast Club is we just got to keep putting our work in, and maybe they'll have us on, maybe they won't. Who knows? Our platform is not that large, but the impact that we've had in this reparationist space is similar to what Jill Stein was saying about the Green Party, right? It's like they took this from us, they took that from us, they took this from us, they took that from us, right? That's kind of how it happened with us in this space. I'm seeing pages with merch, et cetera, and we don't own any of that stuff. The only thing we always ask is just make sure you get it right, and that was it. That was it. So nah, we ain't have no inside tracks to the Breakfast Club or nothing like that. We're just cool with certain people that we've met in this political space. And shout out to those people, those people that do have large platforms that have had me on, that individual being one of them, and other individuals in the space. I don't want to name drop right now and at the moment, that have had me on their platforms to build and have the types of discussions that we have, so that they may get more insight or even understand what our men are thinking when we're thinking about going to the polls. So that's it, man. I don't have no more. Just tune into the next live stream. Probably be Sunday or Monday. We have several ideas. Brother Ali is finishing up an presentation right now on debunking the myth of the white freedman. I can't wait to see that one, because that's one of those things that people keep throwing out there. What about the white freedman? Like, this argument, it makes no sense, because no quote unquote white people were freed in 1865 at all.
Free from
And
what?
huh?
I mean, what would it free from what? What would they be freed from?
I have no idea, bro. I have
I
no
know they
idea.
ain't saying enslavement.
I guess because that's the only way you could get a freedman.
It's a weird claim to be making for
It is
people that's
very
fighting for
weird. There's some
reparations.
weird people out there, though, bro. There's some very, very weird people out there. They say all type of crazy stuff, but how we do over here, we put all that stuff to rest. We put all that stuff to rest. So, man, Josh, you got anything else you want to add, man? I'm about to shut it down.
Yeah, shut it down, shut it down, shut it down.
All right, yo, thank you everybody for watching. For those of you that's on Twitter, go over to the YouTube channel, Be the Power, subscribe, click the little bell icon. Support the platform. Support the platform. $ Be the Power, man. $ Be the Power. And we appreciate everybody that sent in super chats tonight. Help us pay a little bit of bills on this side to keep this thing running. It's election season. Our voices are important. We have a midterm election coming up in 26, and then we have another presidential election coming up in 28. And by then, we should have everything situated. There should be no excuses. None of that. Because I already know what our plan was. Our plan at Be the Power was a 5-year plan. And we are in the 5th year of that plan. And we've laid all of our preliminary steps out. And now we're working the rest of our plan. Visit our website, usadof.org. Read our 12-point agenda. Look us up. You'll see the work that we've been putting in. It's reached the Associated Press, NBC, ABC, etc., etc., etc. Even local newspapers like the Chicago Crusader has featured this freedmen movement. We're on the move right now. We're on the move. And if you think the Green Party is something, what the Joker said in that old Batman movie, wait till you get a load of us. So I leave you all with the motto of the platform, which is don't just fight the power, become the power. And then and only then will you have the power to make a change. And with that, I say peace.